No, it was foggy when I came up.
Yeah, it was really bad until I was.
Yep, pretty much.
Hello, sir.
How are you?
Good, and you?
Okay.
I was thinking that was Debbie with you at first.
Say again? No, Debbie's in Dallas. My daughter had a. Oh, thank you.
Christy?
She had her big presentation for her. She's in her minor in the Advertising Institute in the business school, and she won like the top award last night. But I couldn't go because I had to be here. So, which is why I have to leave early because we have stuff that's alive at the house that has to be dealt with.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be here too long.
That's fantastic for her.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay, this is my handheld mic. You should be able to hear me. Test 1, 2. You should be hearing me talking right now. Just coming through my board, but I'll be using the feed when I actually start the meeting. Let me go a little higher. What about now? How about that level right there? Is that a good level for you? Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. Check 1, 2. That's about minus 6 dB on that. Check 1, 2. Check. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. Check. You can hear me? Okay, let me do this. Check 1. You bring this one up. Check 1, 2. Check. Testing 1, 2. Mic check. Mic check. Test.
It's the delay. Yeah, that is a delay.
Mayor Ronnie Williams come and lead us in a prayer. Drake Owens to come and give us a welcome.
Yeah, I do.
Thank you, Commissioner. My name is Drake Owens, Assistant Vice President of External Affairs at Northwestern State University. On behalf of the faculty, staff, and students of Northwestern State, it's my pleasure to welcome you all to our historic and beautiful city and campus today. Commissioner Campbell is an alum of Northwestern State University, and Commissioner Francis is also an alum, and I know those two have helped us so much throughout the years. Commissioner Campbell has been a devout supporter throughout his decades of public service to Louisiana. It's an honor, pleasure to have the Public Service Commission here with us in Natchitoches today. We hope while you're in the beautiful city of Natchitoches, the oldest city in Louisiana Purchase, that you'll come see our beautiful campus at Northwestern. Northwestern has a rich history of its own. Founded in 1884, we're the oldest institution in Louisiana, and we're also the oldest continuous permanent site of higher education in the state of Louisiana. There's no better place to be than Natchitoches, Louisiana at Christmas time. We'll hope that you'll come see our campus. We'll hope that you'll see the lights downtown. We hope that you come back often.
Thank you, Drake. Thank you. Commissioner Campbell, you have anything to say about Northwestern?
Yeah, can you hear? Here. First of all, thank you for coming to Natchitoches. It's a beautiful place, especially at Christmas time when y'all saw all the lights. Last weekend, they had the Natchitoches Christmas parade, which I was able to ride in, thanks to the mayor. They didn't let politicians ride. And I told the mayor that I was able to give Northwestern $675,000 when Valley Electric sold out. We got the money that wasn't, that we couldn't give the capital credits, so we gave it to Northwestern. We was glad to do it. And somehow they found me a place to ride. So I had a good time last weekend, so about 80,000 people. We had a good time, threw $500 worth of candy away. That's what it cost, $500. So it was a nice parade. Today, it's with a little sadness. Believe it or not, I get sad from time to time. Gary Hobbs is not going to be with us anymore. We had, from the start, I had Bill Robinson, who everybody liked. You couldn't dislike Bill Robinson. He was a nice fellow, nice guy. very talented man, and he retired because he had enough time in to retire. Gary, as you know, has only been with us about a couple of years, but he's been the chief of staff for a year. He's been excellent, very efficient. To give you an example, I told him I want him to be at my house this morning at 7:30. I walked outside the door at 7:29, and Gary was coming over the railroad track. That's just the way he does business. He's always on time. If you go to our office up there, and his office is perfect, if it's a pen over here and you grab this pen and put it over here, when he comes back in at dinner time, he's going to want to know who moved his pen. He's that prepared, and he's done an excellent job about all these grants that we've had. A lot of talks about grants. Gary's kept up with every penny of them. I can show you where every dime went, how we bid it out, how much money we saved. At first, when we were doing grants, we got some work done up there that was 3 times what we could get it done locally for. Gary's the one, and a nice lady at Energy. I don't think you ever gave her a pay raise, but you should. She's the one that brought it to our attention that we were getting ripped off, and the Energy lady. And so I told Gary about it. So we bid out all those things. We've done things for Natchitoches, LSU, Southern, Grambling, you name it. You can do so many good things with these grants to help people. The electricity at LSUS has been reduced about 1/3 because of the lights. And so Gary's done a great job. He's going on to be head of security at a huge church in Shreveport, which he'll do a good job. Getting away from me, he's going to a church, so that sort of tells you he might need a little relief. But anyway, Gary, we appreciate you coming and serving us, and you served us well. Everybody here learned a lesson from you about being on time and being very professional. So thank you for helping, and I appreciate all the good advice that you gave us. Also, over the weekend, I was over the weekend, I noticed they had a big election in New Orleans. They elected a new sheriff. The old sheriff was our friend, my friend. I liked him. But the new sheriff ran on something that's been near and dear to my heart about jailhouse phones and how high they were. And he won. And this has become an issue all over the country. It's the right thing to do, the morally right thing to do. And I'm going to bring that up in the very near future. We have a lot of people who've already called me. There's going to be some great testimony from a lot of people that you'll know. So I want to let the commission know that I hadn't forgot about it, and it will be up before us in the near future, very near future. And I was glad to see that the sheriff in Orleans Parish run on the high cost of jailhouse phones. I was amazed that Securus company, gave the sheriff 85% of the commission. Can you imagine that? Anybody giving 85% of the commission? In other words, if there was $1 spent at the phone in jailhouses in Orleans Parish, the sheriff got 85 cents and the company got 15 cents, and they're making boatloads of money. How could any company give 85% commission and survive? I'm in the insurance business. If I write a homeowner's policy, I get a whopping 15%, and I'm glad to get it, and the company gets 85%. This is just the opposite. The sheriff got 85%, and he didn't own it. He just lets them come in and do what he wants to do on the telephones, 85 cents, and the company got 15. So I noticed I have a compromise, believe it or not, I think everybody will love. It's a compromise that about 30 states are using right now across the United States, and we really ought to look at it because it's the right thing to do. And like I've always said a bunch of times, there is no wrong way to do the right thing. So I just want to let you know I'm coming in the very near future. We're going to have and I appreciate this commission because I know we'll be fair, and I know everybody will get a chance to talk. So thank you, and look, thank you for coming to Natchitoches. Natchitoches is 2 years older than New Orleans. You know that. 2 years older than New Orleans. Beautiful city, nice people, and we like to see you in North Louisiana. We'd like to see you in North Louisiana. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Campbell. Commissioner Francis?
Well, it's good to be back in the hometown of Northwestern State University. Mr. Campbell was here about 4 years. I was here about 4 months, but we still both did good, okay? And my proof of that's in my American flag and my billfold. I was raised up in this area. When you get this close to Gina, Louisiana, you got to invite some friends from Gina over. And Trey Hill's uncle, Paul Palmer, and I graduated from that great town and played football on that 1964 football team, a great team. And so, Paul, welcome to Natchitoches. And also I invited some of our local elected officials, State Representative Rodney Schermerhorn, is that it, Rodney? And Rodney is over on the Toledo Bend side and comes back toward this way. And then Gabe Furman. Did Gabe get here yet? I know Gabe was held up in traffic because of an accident coming over from, and he represents up close to the suburbs of Natchitoches also. I invited our Senator Louis Bernard. Is Louis here, or one of his representatives? And our United States Congressman Mike Johnson from Shreveport. I haven't seen Mike, but at least they've been invited to come to our meeting. But appreciate that. Thirdly, we're this close to Toledo Bend, and we just wanted to thank Warren Founds for the work he does. He's got that big, great generator down on the dam that produces a lot of homegrown electricity with our Sabine River water. So thank you, Warren. And that's it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Commissioner Scametta?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple things. I mentioned only out of circumstance that I have my own experience at Northwest that took place in 1975 when I was on the Regimental Naval Junior ROTC drill squad from Brother Martin High School, and we participated in the James A. No Invitational Drill Competition on the football field at Northwestern, and we won. So it was exciting to be here, and I was glad to go to LSU afterwards. But that's just me and a bunch of other people in the room. So I didn't want to leave LSU alum out of the room. But I wanted to talk to you about something I've talked about every other year at this meeting, and it's about not forgetting about Christmas, and it is the Christmas season. And 56 years ago, a cartoon character explained to his friend what Christmas was about, and it was Linus and Charlie Brown. And it's interesting to see how TV explained it. And TV explained it the basic way, which I think a lot of people learn about it. But Linus explained to Charlie Brown in the following way. And Linus said, "And there were in the same country shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. And lo, the angel of the Lord came upon them, and the glory of the Lord shone round about them, and they were sore afraid. And the angel said unto them, Fear not, for behold, I bring to you good tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. And this shall be a sign unto you. Ye shall find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host praising God, and saying, Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward men." And Linus said, that's what Christmas is all about, Charlie Brown. And in this time of year, let's just not forget what it's all about. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Scametta. Commissioner Bosse, do you have anything? So I have a couple announcements. Procedurally, we will defer number 8, 20, and portions of 21, namely the winter storm report. We're waiting on a few more things. And then on the MISO, and if Lane, if you don't mind, come on up. We're going to hear from some MISO staff today, but MISO's been meeting with the staff and commissioners and committing to the commission that they have our concerns on cost allocation, and that hope that means a good future for Louisiana. These commitments can be official, but not until mid-January. So, Lane, you want to give us a little update?
Certainly. Lane Sissing, consultant to the Louisiana Public Service Commission. We have been working with MISO for a long time. We gave a presentation a couple of months ago explaining the long-range transmission planning process, building a large amount of transmission in the north and expressing concerns over how the process is working with regards to cost allocation. MISO has worked with Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas, Arkansas, the city of New Orleans over these last few months, and right now everything is going forward as MISO has expressed to you guys and has expressed publicly that their proposed tariff language that is public and all their statements in public forums has been that they are going to bifurcate the north from the south such that only northern expenses, only the northern customers would be allocated the expenditures associated with that transmission. The south would get its own postage stamp for its own projects, but those projects won't be planned for a few years. So as we sit here today, MISO is living up to all its obligations. That filing was supposed to occur in December. It has been pushed back to January based on waiting on a report to verify what almost everyone agrees is the fact is that you could not support a postage-wide, footprint-wide postage stamp. That report should be issued early January. The filing at FERC should happen mid-January. Assuming nothing crazy happens with the report, MISO is moving forward as they have expressed. There are many things associated with that filing. There are still other things that we're not exactly ecstatic about, but we can handle those in the stakeholder process and the FERC processes. So as of right now, MISO is living up to everything they've said, and we're just going to keep a vigilant eye and keep watching.
Please stay on them, and we look forward to that report in January. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner.
Just for,
Catherine, do you have an announcement?
and just for the record, that was Exhibit 26. That was the report from staff.
Say again?
So that was Exhibit 26.
The meeting's at 26?
No.
No. What Lane just did was Exhibit 26.
Item 26, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And then we were taking up item 21 out of order and taking that one up first.
That's right. So we're very fortunate in this state to have someone so sharp. And Vineeth, if you can come on up.
I see him out in the, he's talking to someone out there. While we're waiting on him, I did want to echo for my central staff, best wishes to Gary and appreciation for his work. I know they're going to miss you as well. So we've told you that, but I wanted to make sure you know that, and we have said it on the record.
Yeah, Gary, we're going to miss you. You're keeping Foster on time getting to the meetings, so we don't know who's going to do that now. Vineeth, welcome back, and we look forward to an update. Here, have a seat.
Well, appreciate it. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to all of you. I remember, I think it was 8 months ago when I think it was my second or third week on the job, that I had the pleasure of meeting with all of you. At that time, there was a lot of questions that we had with regards to a lot of our broadband efforts. We fundamentally didn't have a team within our office. Now we do. The second was this was right before the legislative session, and so we did not have a grant program. Now we do. And we are now in the throes of executing the grant program called Gumbo, which is $177 million singularly focused to addressing the access issue that exists in Louisiana. And so where we are with the Gumbo grant program, which stands for Granting Unserved Municipalities Broadband Opportunities, is that we have $90 million that was authorized by the legislature, whose deadline is coming up, actually in a couple of weeks. So December 31st is the deadline for applicants for that first $90 million. The only two eligible applicants for the money is either a co-op or a private sector internet service provider. Those are the only two applicants for the $90 million. And the way it works after December 31st is that applications are due, and then we spend the first week doing an administrative review, and then on January 7th and or on the 10th, we will actually publicly disclose the applications, the areas that they're representing in terms of the areas that they're looking at making the investment, and then we begin the 60-day period of evaluation. The goal for our office is to announce the awards sometime around the start of the legislative session, and then we go back to the legislature for the balance of the $177 million, $87 million. Then we run round two, which will be in June and July of next year. So starting 8 months ago from really zero to where we are today, I think we made incredible progress. That progress really has everything to do with the support from the PSC, the support from the legislature, the support from the community. We have spent a ton of time, I'm sure you guys are all aware, being on the road, spending a ton of time with communities, in communities like DeQuincy and DeRidder and Natchitoches and Vidalia and Rayville, et cetera. And I think singularly why we've made so much progress in a very shortened period of time is the fact that there is absolute alignment both from a federal, state, and a local level to addressing this challenge that we have when it comes to unserved populations, folks that can't afford it, and then folks who lack the digital literacy to appreciate where broadband and how broadband can impact their lives. So really, I'm happy to answer any questions if I'm permitted, Chair, and really looking forward to working with the co-ops. We made it a concerted effort given where co-ops are geographically, given the infrastructure that they have, that they could play an absolutely critical role in accelerating our efforts to eliminating the digital divide by 29, which is the goal that we have for the state. And so it's in the Gumbo Act that the governor signed into law that they are eligible for our funds. So happy to answer any questions and hope this was helpful.
How have the applications, have y'all been overrun with applications?
Yeah, so 90 million. So I think what's really important is not necessarily the number of applications as opposed to the size of applications. And I think I'm very confident that we'll far exceed the 90 million that we receive in terms of the size of the applications and the geographic reach and the geographic distribution of where most of, if not all of these applications are coming from.
During the application process, do y'all vet to make sure they're just not padding them with extra payments and stuff? I mean, the veracity of them is...
Yeah, so that first week, that first 7 to 8 days, so December 31st and starting January 1, we'll look at it and do an administrative review just to make sure fees and the actual applications aren't out of whack, they're not skewed in one direction or the other. Once we have completed that, we'll then publicly disclose all the applications. That then triggers, again, a 60-day period of evaluations of these applications. The applications will be reviewed by a third-party group of folks that understands the difference between fiber optics construction costs, people that have been there, done that, have built these networks to understand the difference between what fixed wireless can do, for instance, in providing high-speed internet, and fiber, and so on and so forth. So we're going to have a completely third-party group of evaluators who will look at the projects, judge them based on its 23 different scoring criteria for these projects, and then we'll make an assessment towards middle of March.
Chairman.
Commissioner Francis?
Yes, I met Vin at a meeting in LaSalle Parish some time back, and I asked him for one of his business cards. He says, I don't have one yet. I've only been on the job 3 days, so I had the opportunity to meet him, and I've been following your career. I think you're doing a great job. We wish we had more dedicated people serving the government as you, so congratulations on that. And I wanted to make a comment about something I just learned. We're going to be dependent on the co-ops for help one way or another to get this deal done right. And these co-ops all have these right-of-ways and these poles and lines that they've paid a lot of hard-earned money for. And I'm just finding out that some of the folks who are stringing up the other lines for internet service will just go out and put up lines with no permission from the co-ops. And I'm going to propose some action to put a small fine on these folks when they're caught doing that. It's not right. As we do this internet service and put these pole attachments on, that's revenue for the folks who have paid the money to put up the poles and the right-of-ways, and that can help lower their electricity bill by generating a little income from this. So I just want to make you aware of that. I'm going to be working on that and ask for your help to help me understand the problems and what's fair for everybody.
Absolutely.
And also, I want to recognize now, I see a state representative from LaSalle Parish and covers the great city of Gina, Gabe Furman. Gabe, stand up, let everybody see you. He's another one of our state reps. Thank you, Benny.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners? Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Denise.
appreciate
Keep up
it.
the good work.
Merry Christmas, happy holidays.
Hey,
Merry Christmas.
So we're still under Exhibit 21. We're moving on to discussions, and I believe that there is a discussion by Charter Communications.
Yes. With Charter, is Ryan Haney, are y'all ready? 5 minutes? Okay.
Okay. We can move on to the ERS OMS SPP ratifications
Okay, yeah, let's go
real
ahead and do
quick.
that.
So the first is a discussion and possible vote to ratify interventions of Louisiana Public Service Commission and RTO-related federal energy regulatory proceedings. This matter is on the agenda for ratification of interventions on behalf of LPSC and RTO-related FERC proceedings pursuant to the scope of work approved in connection with the retention of stone pigment and UPC at the February 2021 B&E from MISO, SPP, and ERSC participation. Due to the short deadlines allowed for these interventions, if advanced commission approval is not possible, the executive secretary, on the recommendation of UPC or Stone Pigment or on his own determination, may authorize the initial interventions, comments, or protests subject to ratification at a following B&E. Interventions were filed on the LPSC's behalf in the following FERC dockets: ER 22-24, which is an intervention with protest, ER 22-331, which was a dockless intervention, and ER 22-417, which is also a dockless intervention. And staff recommends that the commission ratify these three interventions.
Chair motions to ratify. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Francis. Any discussion or objection? Hearing none, it's ratified. Next.
Next, we have one OMS vote. It's a discussion and possible vote to ratify votes taken by Vice Chairman Skrmetta, acting as the Commission's representative on the Board of Directors of the Organization of MISO States. And this matter is on the agenda for ratification of two email votes taken on November 29, 2021 by Vice Chairman Skrmetta. Staff followed the protocol set forth in Special Order 17-2019 to consult with the Executive Secretary and Chairman and to make a recommendation to Vice Chairman Skrmetta prior to those votes. The protocol also required that the votes taken be ratified at a following B&E. The votes ratified are summarized as follows. The OMS sought to submit reply comments in the FERC ANOPR docket number RM21-17, which addresses regional transmission planning and cost allocation issues. The reply comments generally advocate for greater transparency in the transmission planning process and also support greater cost containment in those FERC processes. Based on staff's recommendation, Vice Chairman Skrmetta voted in favor of the OMS reply comments. The second OMS vote was to seek to submit an amicus brief in a matter pending in the Wisconsin Supreme Court involving a challenge to the impartiality of a retail regulator who participated in the OMS and MISO stakeholder process. The OMS amicus brief explains how the OMS and MISO stakeholder process works and how they in no manner compromise the impartiality of regulators who participate in those processes based on staff's recommendation. Vice Chairman Skrmetta voted in favor of the OMS reply comments. Staff recommends that the Commission ratify both Vice Chairman Skrmetta's email votes taken on November 29, 2021 as the Louisiana Public Service Commission's representative to the OMS Board of Directors.
Skrmetta abstains from both.
Commissioner Skrmetta is abstaining. Chair motions to accept. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Francis. Any discussion or objection? Hearing none, it's ratified. Do you want to proceed with the directive, or do you want to go back to?
We can run through the directive real quick if that's okay.
Okay, go ahead, yeah.
So there is a directive. It's a directive to staff to review and potentially revise Commission's General Order dated November 10th, 2014 at the request of Commissioner Campbell. And the directive is as follows. I direct staff to open a rulemaking to review and potentially revise the Commission's General Order that governs the procedures utilized in the selection of contract employees retained by the Commission, including but not limited to whether the Commission should adopt specific conflict standards and the definition of conflict for the purposes of contract employees.
Something that I think that we ought to do to make sure that people working here have no conflict. And so I would move that we accept this.
Just if there's no opposition.
If there's no opposition, we only vote.
Is there any opposition?
Okay.
There's no opposition. So,
I think the charter issue,
yeah.
people are here now.
We're going to go back to the charter issue. So I'd like to have Ryan Haney, or whoever he'd like to come up, and also, is Rob Rieger here? Hey, Rob.
Now they're gonna do the charter communication.
If you could fill out one of the yellow cards, please. Okay, thank you very much. And introduce yourselves before speaking.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. Appreciate y'all's time today. I'm here with Nathan Carbo, who I'm going to ask to maybe say a couple words. I wasn't sure if he wanted to lay out the situation totally or if Commissioner Green wanted to assist. I can say a couple words. Again, I'm Ryan Haney. I'm a representative here at System Services. In a nutshell, they're one of many Louisiana contractors who have been doing work on the Ida storm response for Charter. And we've not been able to have clear communication on why they haven't paid their invoices. We have been having a couple conversations, but at the chairman's invitation, we came to simply have an opportunity to make the public aware that we're having some issues with that. And we do appreciate the commissioners, any of the commissioners' support. If you want, we can have Nathan say a couple.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Nathan Carbo. I'm with System Services Broadband. We're a telecommunications contractor in the state of Louisiana. We were originally established in the 1980s, so we've been around for about 34 years as a Louisiana-based entity. We are a woman-owned company within the state of Louisiana. We are not a storm chaser. We do not chase after major weather events. We only respond at our customers' requests for assistance within our existing footprint, which is primarily in the Louisiana area. For Hurricane Ida, we've been established in the lower portions of the state in Thibodeau for many years, working primarily with Charter in those markets. After the events of Hurricane Ida, we were requested to provide some assistance and labor force to Charter for their restoration efforts. In the middle of that, we decided that we would no longer be doing business with Charter due to other issues, and we have yet to receive any payment, any compensation for the work that was expensed very early on in the Ida restoration efforts. Now, after we started noticing that we were not going to be able to be paid, there were other vendors that surfaced that have also not been paid. In part or in full, I'm not sure, but there's a substantial amount of money that is owed to a lot of people, both in Louisiana and outside of Louisiana, and we have had zero, we still don't know why, is the bottom line. We do not understand what the problem is, why the money's being held up, and why it took 3.5 months for them to respond to questions about getting paid.
On that note, can I ask you a few questions?
Yes, sir.
Tell us about some of the work that you did. Tell us more about the work that you did.
So in the telecommunications work, we install the lines from pole to pole. Very similar to how the power company does that. We install fiber optics as well as hard line cable plant. We primarily did assessment work. So we were the individuals that rode around with the system maps from Charter and indicated where the damages sections of their plant was. We provided that information back to Charter in a timely manner at Charter's request.
And did you accomplish the work that you were hired to do?
Yes, sir. During our departure from the market, we still had work in our hands. We had to ask repeatedly whether or not they wanted us to complete the work. I think 3 or 4 times we had to ask before we finally got a response in the affirmative. We completed the work and returned the final product to them within the time frame that we had set forth.
And do you do that same work for anybody
Yes, sir.
else, and have they paid you?
Yes, sir. We worked for Ida Restoration for 4 other vendors, 4 other companies. All of them have paid in full, except for Charter, and we still don't know why.
And what are the impacts for not being paid?
It's a substantial financial impact for us. It's financial planning. It affects our CapEx abilities for next year. As I'm sure all the chairmen know, we are in the, RDOF funding is coming out. There's a substantial growth and need within our sector for labor personnel and things like that. Bucket trucks and equipment are very expensive, and that funding would have gone a long way in allowing us to continue to grow our operation, employ Louisiana residents, and build a better communication amongst the citizenry of Louisiana.
Commissioner Campbell?
How much money these people owe you?
They owe us $913,637.
Do they owe other people?
They owe, yes, they owe other people. We're the smallest one. The largest, I believe, is somewhere in the realm of 19 million.
Have you, Mr. Haney's not a lawyer, but do you have a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
Have you told him you don't have a remedy to sue him and go to court?
We do not want to go to court.
Why not?
Well, we would like to find an amicable solution to get this resolved. Again, we've done this work for 30 years. We've never had a situation like this that has been unable to be resolved amicably. These people refuse to talk to us. I don't know what else to do. They leave us with no other option.
Well, you're going to court. You didn't want to go to court, but you're in court.
I know. I don't want to be here, and I don't want to have to go litigate this.
Yeah, well, you went to the ultimate court. You went around the judge. You came to us. I'm just wondering if it was I'm listening to you.
Yes, sir.
And if somebody owed me $913,000, that's a lot of money. 90,000 is a lot of money, but that's a whole lot of money.
The problem is that they're continuing to hide behind their keyboards, and I can't give them something else to hide behind. I would like to have answers.
Do they talk to you?
Very rarely.
When you call and ask for your money, what do they tell you?
No.
No?
No.
When you show them what you've done and you present them a bill, an itemized bill, they just deny it and say, we're not going to pay you?
We asked for a good faith payment, and we were told no.
Who tells you no?
The charter representatives that we have direct contact with.
Who are they?
A gentleman by the name of Mike Sellers.
Is he here today?
I do not believe so.
Well, he's got, Mr. Rieger, you represent those people?
Yes, sir.
You're going to get paid well today. If this is true.
I have some statements here from other vendors that I was sent. I believe I'm not sure if they have these or not.
I do believe we sent them to Commissioner Green's staff, but we have some copies here. I'm glad
This
to
is
bring
from one
up
of the
for
other vendors that
Green's
is unable to
staff.
be here today, as well as the subcontractors that he employed, that we also employed. And that's the gist of this, is that it's a small community of contractors. We refer to ourselves as friendly competitors. We all bid on the same work. We all do the same activity in different areas, and we try to help each other out as best as we can. Look, when there's a damage that's 15 minutes away from my office that is affecting 911's ability to operate successfully, I don't expect a contractor that's on the other side of the state 4 or 5 hours away to drive all the way over there to repair that. They can call me, and we can run out there and we can make that repair in a much timely manner to get those services restored. If you needed to call 911 and were unable to because your provider had a fiber network that was down, you would be pretty upset.
Mr. Haney, how many people do you represent? Is this your only client?
Yes, sir. And of course, Infinity wanted to be here today. They did send this letter. They also have with their packet here, about 10 of their vendors wrote letters, because obviously, you got a prime here and they have subs they retain to get a lot of the work done. Well, it all flows down. We've been able to pay our subs. We're right now floating their payments, so we're here kind of representing those guys as well. But for Infinity, they haven't been able to do that as much, and so we have letters from these mom and pop operators, small businesses across the state, some are minority and woman-owned, who are basically saying, we're done doing work for charter in Louisiana. If we can't get paid, we can't continue to choose to take business in Louisiana if there's not going to be if there's going to be this gap in payment. They'd rather go somewhere else.
I'm very familiar with your dad. He's more my age. I know who you are, but I know your dad well. I remember when he worked in the Senate for Sonny Mouton.
Sir.
Y'all do this kind of work, debt collections?
Not typically, but we do. Any small business that needs some help, we're willing to be their voice.
I know you lobby in the legislature. I didn't know that you. So he's your client, and you're trying to help your client. That's why you're here.
Yes, sir. Just trying to bring some awareness to the situation.
Okay. And they owe other people besides you?
Yes, sir.
How many people do you think they owe?
5. There were 5 primes that responded, and to my knowledge, at the best of my ability.
about how much, they owe you 900, you said, right?
Yes, sir.
What do they owe the other 4?
I know that they owe Infinite $19 million. I believe they owe 2 other vendors in the vicinity of $2 million each, and I'm not sure about the other one.
So they owe $4 or $5 million then, huh? More?
I believe so, yes, sir.
And they didn't want to show up today? I mean,
Look, we have asked for meetings as far back as September. We've asked to have meetings with them again and again. We've been told that we'll schedule a meeting next week, months at a time, and it continues to just weeks pass, and we do not get any information out of them. Since September 15th, when our invoice was originally submitted to them, we've received 1 phone call, and it was in an effort to tell us that they needed more information about our invoicing, which we happily provided again to them. And we continue to get tidbits of emails where they ask for information that has already been submitted.
Brandon, let me ask you something. What exactly, what is the position, I mean, what can we do to this company?
So, Commissioner,
What is exact, can we tell them they can't do business in Louisiana, they pay these debts? Do we have that kind of outreach?
not exactly, but there is a concern that's coming to me, and it kind of goes to your point. We had a meeting with these gentlemen, as well as one of the other, Infinity they referred to, and some representatives of Charter last week, and the business they do, and not only restoration work, but also deploying fiber and those types of things they do in non-storm situations. And I asked them about this, and Vineeth was here earlier and talked about deploying infrastructure for broadband. Charter received ETC designation for us for RDOF money, and these subcontractors told me that they had RDOF contracts and they may not do them for Charter anymore because they're afraid they won't get paid. Well, Charter may not be able to fill its obligations as an ETC if they're not going to get anybody that's actually going to do the work for them. So in that respect, yes, there would be something that we could potentially revoke if it looks like they're not going to be able to do what they need to do.
Commissioner Scametta?
What do you say?
Yeah, you might remember, and this is the other commissioners, that when we were going through the RDOF certification votes, that our primary concern was, were the companies going to absorb the money and not put it to work? And were they going, and this is an example of not putting it to work. If you're not going to spend the money on your contractors, if you're going to put people to work and you're not going to pay them, what's going on with the money? So the question becomes, and I guess this is a question for you, Rob, does the commission have to take sort of a bold action of revoking the RDOF certification for Charter, which to my recollection was the biggest RDOF award in the state, if I'm not mistaken. And how much was it? The 30-something million dollars was the Charter got? Do you remember how much it was?
Off the top of my head, Rob Rieger for Charter Communications.
Yeah, come on up and take Ryan's seat.
I can estimate that if Mr. Rieger's.
No, go ahead, Ron.
Good morning, Commissioner, Mr. Chairman, members. My name's Rob Rieger. I practice law at Adams and Reese, and I represent Charter Communications. To answer your question, Commissioner Scametta, I don't remember how much it was.
I think it was like 30 or 39 million, but y'all were the big winner, I think.
We were one of
the big.
winners.
It was either you or SpaceX. I think it was.
SpaceX, I think, was the biggest.
Yeah,
there may have been
y'all were
Connex
right
comment
there.
and another one.
And my concerns are twofold. Number one is, if you get the money and you put people to work, it begins to look pretty bad if you're not handling your subs, right?
I agree.
And not bad in a little way, bad in a big way, to the point where the commission has to start considering decertification, okay? And if we decertify, that's going to open up a whole different can of worms across the spectrum of federal jurisdiction, that the feds are going to come in, the FCC is going to come in, everybody's going to be looking for a bite out of the apple on someone, and it ain't going to be these guys, okay? So my problem is, I'm not a debt collector, but what I am is a person who is looking at how the system works, okay? And look, I know we have limited jurisdiction over this entire process. But what I do know is the big thing we said, and our concerns were, is that when we certified all of this RDOF money, is that we were concerned that it was going to be put to work for the benefit of the ratepayers and the benefit of the citizens of the state. And if these guys went forward in good faith, relied on your company to go ahead and do the work so that the ratepayers could benefit from it, and if you activated any of this and put it to work, you're in a bad situation. And I don't know what to tell you other than jurisdictionally, you know, I'm looking at the staff to agree with everybody else up here on what's the harshest thing we can do to, you know, put the rudder straight on this ship and get the economics into play to make sure that these subs who are at the mercy of a larger company don't get mistreated into, you know, the fantasy or the fairy tale of driving them into bankruptcy so you can just buy the assets for nothing. You know, because we've seen that kind of thing happen with other companies. It doesn't bode well across the commission to see that kind of activity to take advantage of a lesser company. So
Sure.
we don't want to see that.
No.
But what we want to see is if you got federal money, this isn't state money, this isn't private banking money, this isn't ratepayer money. You got federal money for an intended purpose and didn't spend it. That's a whole different alphabet city that wants to look at this. So I think you're in a position to where you might want to make good on what you said you intended to do with federal money before we have to step in and do something drastic
Let me,
to
sure.
correct that. Because what we would do is nothing compared to what the federal alphabet would do.
So if I could, to go ahead and
I'm done, thanks.
No problem. Let me give you some comfort. There's not a single RDOF dollar that has been deployed in this instance. Those awards have been made, but the grants or actually the fundings of those have not taken care. And you have our assurance and Charter's assurance they will be great stewards of that money. That's what they're obligated to do, and that's what they will do. On this whole matter, I'm sorry that this contractor and others may have had issues. Charter pays its debts. Charter is good for the money. No, Commissioner, let me finish.
But you have
before I cut off.
Yeah, but
We
you have-
shall be. We shall be. But we're going to be good stewards of the money, just like we're good stewards with our shareholders' money and the things that we have to do for the folks who invest with us. We're going to rigorously scrutinize the invoices and make sure the work was done. The work was done right. It was done with direction. Okay, all of those things. Those are all standard business practices that you expect any responsible entity to employ, and we intend to do it.
One word.
Yes, sir.
When?
We are working on that. I cannot give you a time period. I wish I could. I wish I could stand here and say it would be, all this would be resolved shortly. I don't know that. I can tell you that since our firm has been involved, we have worked with the company to try and do things we could to try and streamline communications. I had a lengthy conversation with Mr. Carbo yesterday and got some facts from him that I was not personally aware of that I are bringing to my client's attention. And we are happy to go through this, and you have our commitment to work to get a resolution.
I think you'll see this on the January agenda for a review, and I'm pretty sure that, we hope that it's rectified by then, because if it's not, it's going to be a whole different discussion. And that's just my way of looking at it. I don't know what everybody else thinks.
I have a question. So
Yes,
the
sir.
services like fiber and internet and that Hurricane Ida impacted, are they back on today?
For the most part, I think just about everything is back on, except with perhaps a pocket here and there. In pocket, I mean like individual issues.
So
it drops to houses. The main line, I think, is yes, sir, completely back on.
In order to get that back on, did Charter utilize contractors like Nathan's company?
We did utilize. They did assessment services, as Mr. Carbo described.
So you asked them to do it, they did it, and it's back on. You just haven't paid them for it.
There is some question about what they have done and how much work that they'll do.
Has
They
Charter
do.
paid any of the contractors that they used to
They
get?
have. I'm not familiar with every situation, Commissioner Green. I can tell you with regard to Infinity, they paid a big chunk of money, north of $30 million, if I remember, for work that they've done there. They owe that particular company about $19.1 million. They have made substantial good faith payments in that instance. Mr. Carbo represented to you all, and I talked. He'd like to see a good faith payment out of Charter. Charter is working on that to see if that's something that is appropriate. And there will be communications with Mr. Carbo to go through it all.
Well, will you please let Charter know it's very, very important to us that they dial into this?
I'm very sorry it had to come to the Commission's attention. I regret that the principals involved with the company, who all know who we represent, all the cable folks, would have loved to have them come directly and keep this away from you. The fact that they brought it here, I'm very sorry, and we will redouble our efforts to come up with a reasonable conclusion, and quickly.
Anybody else? Okay. Commissioner Campbell?
Mr. Rieger, is it, your company is not insolvent, is that correct?
Correct.
Are they in good financial standings?
As far as I know.
Have we, or Brandon, you can answer this, have we ever had something like this before the Public Service Commission, where we come and maybe with some of those bad systems in South Louisiana, when they came and we settle financial disputes here before the commission? Did we do that? Probably we did when we sold all those companies.
Not directly. I know we've had telecom disputes in the past that came to us, and it was more of under a specific subset of our telecom rules that we had that, which would have been a similar type scenario, but not directly like this.
I'm just wondering, have y'all thought about going to court?
That's next.
Huh?
That's our next step. If we can't get a resolution,
You can't go?
we can, and I mean, that is our intent if we have to go down that path, but we would prefer not to. We're trying to exhaust all amicable options.
Listen, I understand they owe you a lot of money. I'm on your side. I want them to pay for it. But are you asking us to make a decision that, well, that's what you look like today? You sicking the dogs on your company, which is fine. I'd sick them on them too. I'd use bulldogs, okay? I know what that means. But what you're doing, you got Mr. Rieger up here representing his company the best he can. You want your $900,000, which I don't blame you, but you'd rather come here than go to court because you think this is a faster remedy. But our remedy here is telling this company we're going to jerk their license. Is that right?
That would not be directly related to it, but it could be a potential fallout. If subcontractors are unwilling to do work and they can't actually do the work, then
let me ask you something. Another question. If you could, or if you took these people's license, you think that'd help you get your money any faster?
No, I do not.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I mean, what good does it do to kill the goose and lay the golden egg? I mean, you want your money. I don't know this. Mr. Rieger, maybe since you speak for the people who owe the money, okay?
Yes, sir.
Is there any way in the world y'all can't get y'all's head together and get these people paid? What's the problem?
Commissioner Campbell, that's what we're attempting to do.
Do what?
That is exactly what we are attempting to do.
How long will it be before they get their money?
I could not tell you.
Well, that's not a good answer.
I understand it's not a satisfactory answer
Somebody
to you,
owed me
but I just cannot tell you.
He's a small business guy here. Somebody owed me $900,000. I don't know when I can pay you. That's not a good answer. This fellow needs some money, and you got 3 or 4 other people involved. I doubt his company can take a $900,000 hit. And you tell him, I don't know when we can pay you. Is your company in good shape? You says it is.
So far as I know, yes, sir.
Well, you ought to know that. You're the lawyer. That's the first thing you ought to know if they can pay you. And then the next thing you ought to do is go back and tell these people, we got to get this over with. Or you're going to come back to the Public Service Commission. Is there a chance, Brandon, that you could take these people's license?
There's always, I mean, we'd have to open an investigation.
I'd make a
to see,
suggestion.
but, yeah.
I'd make a suggestion, Mr. Green, and I'm not trying to take over this.
We're in Natchitoches. You go ahead.
I would tell you, bring it back up next month.
Yep.
You go have some prayer meeting with your boys, Mr. Riggle, and see if they need to pay these people. They can't just keep putting this off. And tell them if they come back next month, there's some serious things that this commission could do. I'm not threatening anybody, but I understand this man here, when you owe him $900,000, you got any more accounts receivables that much?
No, sir. We also have some other outstanding invoices that have not been paid, but we've been able to reconcile most of those at the local level.
Well,
this is the one outstanding invoice that we have.
If we have the authority to do something, we ought to do something. These people ought to pay the bills. And you got 3 or 4 other creditors involved?
Yes, sir.
Up to $4 million, you said, something like that?
One of them's 19.
North of 20.
Huh?
Altogether, it's north of $20 million.
North of 20?
Yes, sir.
Boy, you really need to talk to your client and ask him, can he swallow $20 million? That's a lot of money. These people. So I would ask if you put this off to next month, y'all have a prayer meeting and come back with an answer.
Commissioners, I said it once, I'll say it again. Charter pays its bills. They will work through this. They will do the things they need to do to make sure the charges are appropriate. They will do it in a business-like fashion, and they will make recompense to any contractor that it's owed. And
That's
if there's
good.
additional dispute, they have additional remedies for that.
Why don't you bring the guy with charter with you next time?
We'll see what we can do.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Get him here too, because this is serious business, and you know, we usually don't handle stuff like this. We're in the middle of we deal with companies that pay their bills, and you know, you run up, make $20 million, that's serious money, break some people, and then you stop the work that we're all so happy to try to do. We shouldn't be dealing with this. And
I apologize for your having to do that.
If your company don't pay, they might not ought to be doing business in Louisiana. That's the way I feel. But anyway, I'd make a motion that you put this off 1 month, come back, and y'all get together and see what we can, if we can't
Yes, sir.
get us a road to go down that we can all agree on.
I'll second that motion. Commissioner Francis?
Mr. Carbo.
Yes, sir.
I've been in business before. I've had $1 million debt that I either had to write off or give my lawyer and sue somebody. The PSC, this is not really the forum for disgruntled creditors getting paid. We're trying to help you, but if we helped all the creditors out there, we'd be having a meeting once a week instead of once a month. So, but we are concerned about charter. But my experience in business, either write it off or get your lawyer and sue these guys. Okay, that's my advice to you today. Thank you.
Anyone else?
See you in January.
See you in January, yep.
Thank you. Merry Christmas, Commissioner.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'm going to put these letters from the contractors in the record.
Thank you.
Thank
Brian,
you all.
just bring them to me. I'll make sure.
Catherine?
Okay, so we're moving back to exhibit number 2, which is 2022 proposed business and executive session schedule. It's a discussion and possible vote to accept the proposed 2022 schedule.
And before Catherine reads out those dates, just note, and for those in the audience, you know, typically we try to do the third Wednesday of the month. Well, the third Wednesdays of the months in 2022 had conflicts on about 7 or 8 of the months. So you're not going to see a typical schedule. Obviously, we can move those if need be, but you're going to see a lot of late month meetings. And I think starting off the January meeting, we had that hard date that we had agreed to. We'll kind of lay the framework. So it should still flow with the normal gaps. Obviously, if anyone has any concerns with those dates, we can move them as need be, but those are the dates we were able to put together, and that does take into account all of the out-of-state conferences, the NARUC, both the convention in New Orleans next year, the summer meetings and the CRUC conventions all seem to fall in the middle of the month, so that's why you're going to see a lot of these end of the month. So obviously, if anyone has any changes or corrections after the fact, we can do that. The main thing is getting that January date knocked down, and then we'll go forward with the others as we can.
Very good.
So the 2022 proposed B&E schedule is as follows. January 25th, February 23rd, and that one would be in Metairie. March 23rd, April 29th, and that one would be in Manny. May 25th, June 22nd, July 27th. We would not have a meeting in August. September 14th, October 19th, November 22nd, and December 14th.
Just one reference. The NARUC annual meeting will be in New Orleans in November.
That's
and I
correct.
just wanted to make sure you took
Yes.
notice of that.
Yes.
Okay. Because we may want to try and coordinate the November meeting in New Orleans to coordinate it alongside the NARUC meeting so we can kind of,
We can certainly do that too.
we could just
We'll-
look at the
Sure.
dates and we can kind of do that later on.
Absolutely.
Okay.
In the interim, I'll motion to accept.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Scametta. Any discussion or opposition? Next.
Exhibit number 3 is docket number I-36175. It's Clico Power's request to initiate an integrated resource planning process pursuant to the general order corrected in docket R30021 dated April 20th of 2012. It's a discussion and possible vote to hire an outside consultant, and this was Exhibit 3 on last month's agenda. On October 20th of 2021, Clico Power filed correspondence requesting to initiate its 2021 IRP process pursuant to the Commission's general order dated April 20th of 2012. In anticipation of this filing, staff issued RFP 2125 seeking a consultant to assist in Clico Power's upcoming IRP, and we received 3 qualifying bids. The first was from London Economics of $69,910 in fees and $3,882 in expenses for a total budget not to exceed of $73,792. The second was from J. Kennedy and Associates of $97,500 in fees and $2,500 in expenses for a total budget not to exceed of $100,000. And the third was Mr. John Torpy of $126,400 in fees and $3,500 in expenses for a total budget not to exceed of $129,900. And staff makes no recommendation as all 3 bidders are qualified.
Move to accept the low bid of London Economics for a total of $73,792.
Second by the chair, so a motion by Commissioner Scametta to accept London Economics, second by the chair. Any discussion or objection? Hearing none, that's accepted. Next.
Exhibit number 4 is docket number I-36181. This is Entergy Louisiana's request to initiate an integrated resource planning process pursuant to the Commission's general order in docket number R30021 dated April 20th of 2012. It was a discussion and possible vote to hire an outside consultant as well. We received 3 qualifying bids for this one. The first was London Economics of $69,610 in fees and $3,882 in expenses for a total budget not to exceed of $73,792. The second was from J. Kennedy and Associates of $126,000 in fees and $3,000 in expenses for a total budget not to exceed of $129,000. And the third was from Mr. John Torpy of $126,400 in fees and $3,500 in expenses for a total budget not to exceed of $129,900. Staff makes no recommendation as all 3 bidders are qualified.
Move to accept the low bid of London Economics for $73,792.
Motion by Commissioner Scametta to accept low bid of London Economics, second by the chair. Any discussion or opposition? Hearing none is accepted. Next. Item 5.
Exhibit number 5 is docket number R31106. It's the Commission's rulemaking to study the possible development of financial incentives for the promotion of energy efficiency by jurisdictional electric and gas utilities. It's a discussion and possible vote to retain an engineer for District 1. Pursuant to the Commission's general order dated December 22nd, 2020, each commissioner can nominate a qualified engineering firm to provide professional services for each district for the political subdivision energy efficiency program, subject to the Commission's confirmation vote and approval. The retention of an engineering firm for a specific district is to assist in the review of the new project applications and/or review approved applications where labor or material costs have not yet been incurred. Based on the Commission's general order, Vice Chairman Scametta nominates Nathan Nunez of Linfield, Hunter & Nunez to serve as his engineering firm for District 1 for 2021. And based on the Commission's general order and the allocation of political subdivision portion of the energy efficiency program to District 1, Linfield, Hunter & Nunez's budget to provide engineering services to District 1 shall not exceed $27,277.32. Therefore, staff recommends that the Commission approve Vice Chairman Scarmetta's nomination of Linfield, Hunter & Nunez to assist District 1 with political subdivision energy efficiency program for a total budget not to exceed of $27,277.32.
Chair, motion to accept. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Scametta. Any discussion or objection? Hearing none, it's passed. Next.
The next two are very similar to that. Exhibit 6 is docket number R31106. It's the Commission's rulemaking to study the possible development of financial incentives for the promotion of energy efficiency by jurisdictional electric and gas utilities. It's a discussion and possible vote to retain an engineer for District 2. Pursuant to the Commission's general order dated December 22nd, 2020, each commissioner can nominate a qualified engineering firm to provide professional services for each district for the political subdivision energy efficiency program, subject to the Commission's confirmation vote and approval. Chairman Green nominates D. Hicks Consulting to serve as the engineering firm for District 2 for 2022, and based on the Commission's general order and the allocation of political subdivision portion of the energy efficiency program for District 2, D. Hicks Consulting budget to provide engineering services to District 2 shall not exceed $15,453.95. Staff recommends that the Commission approve Chairman Green's nomination of D. Hicks Consulting to assist District 2 with the political subdivision energy efficiency program for a total budget not to exceed of $15,453.95.
Move to accept staff recommendation.
Motion by Commissioner Scametta to accept staff recommendation.
Now, second, and I think this is one that Commissioner Green and I are working on together. Is that right, David? The sheet doesn't reflect that, I noticed, but this is something we're doing in jointly, and so I wanted to at least second it and be a part of the vote. But can we make a note of that, David? Yeah.
No, you need a mic.
You got to jump up here.
Okay.
The hiring would be district, and I'd let Catherine talk to this. The projects you're referring to are those Breck projects, so this is just to keep him on, working for everybody involved.
Absolutely, I understand. I just wanted to make sure that it was noted properly that this is a, kind of a joint district improvement throughout the region. That's all.
Yeah, thanks for the collaboration on that.
Commissioner Campbell?
Commissioner Campbell?
Yeah. The hiring these engineers is specific to the districts, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Doesn't affect all districts?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
So there's a motion by Commissioner Scametta, second by Commissioner Bossier. Any discussion or objection? Hearing none, it's passed. Next.
Exhibit 7 is another one of the hires. It's docket number R31106, Louisiana Public Service Commission's rulemaking to study the possible development of financial incentives for the promotion of energy efficiency by jurisdictional electric and gas utilities. This is a discussion and possible vote to retain an engineer for District 4. Pursuant to the Commission's general order, each commissioner can nominate a qualified engineering firm to provide professional services for each district for the political subdivision energy efficiency program, subject to the Commission's confirmation and vote. Based on that order, Commissioner Francis nominates D. Hicks Consulting to serve as the engineering firm for District 4 for 2021. Also, based on that Commission general order and the allocation of political subdivision portion, D. Hicks Consulting budget to provide engineering services to District 4 shall not exceed $27,243. Pursuant to the Commission's general order, staff recommends that the Commission approve Commissioner Francis's nomination of D. Hicks Consulting to assist District 4 with the political subdivision energy efficiency program for a total budget not to exceed of $27,243.
Move to accept staff recommendation.
Motion by Commissioner Scametta to accept staff recommendation, second by Commissioner Francis. Any discussion or objection? Hearing none, it's passed. Exhibit 8 is deferred. Exhibit 9, Kathy?
Exhibit 9 is docket number R36131, Louisiana Public Service Commission's determination of Commission jurisdiction over the various methods of providing electricity to electric vehicles and the infrastructure associated therewith. Is a discussion and possible vote to hire an outside consultant, and this was Exhibit 6 last month. On October 4th, 2021, staff issued RFP 2123 seeking a consultant to assist in the above referenced rulemaking, and one qualifying bid was received. We received one qualifying bid from McHugh Group of $43,600 in fees and $1,050 in expenses for a total budget not to exceed of $44,650, and staff makes no recommendation as a sole bidder is qualified.
Move to accept the sole bid of $44,650
I'd
McHugh
like for
Group.
Mr. McQuaid to come up.
So just procedurally, we have a motion to accept by Commissioner Scametta and a second by Commissioner Francis, and we have, we'd like to invite Mr. McQuaid to come up at the request of Commissioner Campbell.
Check the hallway.
Anybody see him?
He was here.
I'm going to make a substitute motion, but I want to talk to him. I saw him.
We'll give him a minute because we saw him here.
Yeah, we can,
While we're waiting, Mr. Chairman, please.
Yes.
I'd like to recognize two of our former greats. I see Eve Gonzalez, the former secretary back there. Hey, Eve, welcome to the meeting. And then world famous Bill Robinson back here in the corner. Hey, Bill. Good to see you, Bill. Okay. All right.
Need to get Lane's jacket.
we can put this one to the side and move to Exhibit 10.
Yeah,
if
let's
you-
keep
if you would
moving and
like.
we'll get back to this one.
Yeah, we'll just keep that we have the motion a second and table it for now and then
We're
bring it
gonna
back up.
we're gonna table it and move on until he comes back, and then we'll table it where we left it. So.
So
Move it to
exhibit
10.
number 10 is docket number S36107. It's NTS Communications doing business as Vexus Fiber. It's a petition for designation as an eligible telecommunications carrier. It's a discussion and possible vote on a staff report and recommendation, and this was exhibit 7 on the November B&E. On July 12, 2021, NTS Communications, doing business as Vexus Fiber, filed a petition seeking designation as an eligible telecommunications carrier pursuant to Section 214E of the Communications Act of 1934, 47 CFR Part 54, and the Louisiana Public Service Commission's General Order dated May 20th of 2004. The company's petition sought ETC designation for the purpose of receiving potential future high-cost federal support as well as low-income federal support for the Federal Communications Commission's Lifeline program for provision of eligible voice and broadband services within a service area encompassing the rural study areas of Bell South Telecommunications, doing business as AT&T Louisiana, CenturyLink Communications, doing business as Lumen CenturyLink of Louisiana, doing business as CenturyLink, and Charter Communications of Louisiana. Notice of the petition was published in the Commission's official bulletin with no interventions filed. The company is a certificated provider of competitive local exchange services and long-distance services in Louisiana and also provides fiber optic, internet, digital television and phone service over a pure fiber network in the greater Hammond area. Additionally, the company possesses a cable and video license for the Louisiana Secretary of State's office and has provided cable television services in Louisiana for approximately 10 years. Pursuant to Section 214E of the Act, state commissions are given the authority to designate ETCs, those common carriers that meet the certain federal service requirements and whose designation will be consistent with the public interest, convenience, and necessity. Consistent with this authority under federal law, the commission issued the ETC General Order, which created a list of public interest criteria to be applied on a case-specific basis to all requests for ETC designation in the areas served by rural telephone carriers. In its petition, the company certified that it would offer the services supported by federal universal support mechanisms, either using its own facilities or a combination of its own facilities and resale of another carrier services, and that it would advertise the availability of such services and the charges therefore using media of general distribution. The company also adequately addressed all of the public interest factors enumerated in the ETC General Order. On October 7, 2021, staff filed its staff report and recommendation and found that the company had demonstrated its ability to meet the requirements of the Act, the applicable FCC regulations, and the ETC General Order. Staff also found that the designation of the company as an ETC in the designated service areas for the purpose of receiving lifeline support is in the public interest. Therefore, staff recommends that the Commission adopt the staff report and recommendation filed into the record on October 7, 2021, and grant the company's petition to be designated as an ETC in the designated service areas for the limited purpose of obtaining low-income lifeline support subject to the conditions contained in staff's report and recommendation.
Move to accept staff recommendation. Any seconds?
I'll second.
Okay. The matter's been moved by the Vice Chair, seconded by Commissioner Boissier. Any opposition? Hearing none, the matter is carried. Next item, please. Number 11.
Okay, so we're going to keep going to exhibit number 11, which is docket number S36155. This is CenturyTel Broadband Services application for issuance of a certificate of authority to provide telecommunications service as a competitive local exchange carrier and competitive access provider, and for transfer of eligible telecommunications carrier status to receive Rural Digital Opportunity Fund auction support for voice and broadband services. This is a discussion and possible vote on staff report and recommendation. On September 27, 2021, CenturyTel Broadband Services filed an application for issuance of a certificate of authority to provide telecommunications services as a competitive local exchange carrier and competitive access provider for transfer of eligible telecommunication carrier status to receive Rural Digital Opportunity Fund auction support for voice and broadband services. CTBS is a direct wholly owned subsidiary of Lumen Technologies. On August 3rd, 2021, Apollo Global Management and Lumen entered into a purchase agreement whereby Apollo will acquire all of the issued and outstanding equity interest and assets of the ILEC subsidiaries of Lumen in 20 states, including Louisiana. Additionally, if all regulatory approvals of the Apollo-Lumen transaction are obtained and the transaction closes, Apollo would assume control of CTBS and will assume all obligations and funding awarded to Lumen under the RDOF auction in Louisiana, which is approximately $18.7 million spread over 10 years. This includes obligations and funding in the service territories of Lumen's Louisiana ILEC affiliates. CenturyLink Communications is a Lumen affiliate that previously received designation as an ETC from the Commission in Order Number S35895 to fulfill RDOF obligations for 206 census blocks in Louisiana. CLC will remain with Lumen and will not be transferred in the Apollo-Lumen transaction. To facilitate the Louisiana portion of the Apollo-Lumen transaction, CTBS seeks designation as an ETC via the transfer of CLC's ETC status. The FCC's RDOF program accelerates the deployment of high-speed fixed broadband service in the United States, and pursuant to the Communications Act, state commissions have the authority to designate common carriers that meet certain service requirements as ETCs if such designation is found to be consistent with the public interest. In accordance with the relevant federal authority, the Commission adopted its ETC general order, thereby providing a comprehensive set of public interest criteria to be applied on a case-specific basis to all requests. In its application, CTBS certified that it would provide services supported by the federal universal service support mechanisms and address all of the public interest factors set out in the ETC general order. Further, CTBS indicated that the transfer of CLC's ET status to CTBS would allow CTBS to step into the shoes of CLC and offer high-quality voice and data services to customers, including services supported by RDOF in the designated service areas. On December 1st, 2021, staff filed its report and recommendation wherein staff determined that CTBS's proposal was consistent with the public interest and that CLC's ETC designation should be transferred to CTBS in the designated service areas subject to conditions. Therefore, staff recommends that the Commission adopt staff's report and recommendation filed on December 1st, 2021, approving CTBS's application to transfer ETC designation within the designated service areas subject to the conditions included therein.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Francis to accept, a second by Vice Chairman Scarmetta. Is there any discussion or opposition?
Chairman.
Yes.
I got something.
Commissioner Francis?
This is federal money, but we do approve the application. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Now, if we find that there's some irregularities in the operation of this corporation, can we retract their authority? Would that be the proper channel? Or is that possible? You're going to pass that on to the secretary?
I'm passing that one on to the secretary.
I was going to make a joke that Commissioner Satig used to make, but I'm not going to make it. But essentially, with 3 votes, you can do lots of things. But it is a commission designation of authority, so the commission has the authority to revoke any prior designation. Yes.
So in the former case we had with Charter, if something, some great irregularities come out of a lawsuit or something, we could actually retract Charter's authority. Is that true?
That's correct. And there's also a second component of it. We have to, well, all the telcos who receive federal funding, whether it be through RDOF, Connect America Fund, which we call CAF, or the former Universal Service Fund, has to file an affidavit with us annually that we then certify to the Universal Service Administrative Company, I think USAC stands for. We could not certify them that way as well. So that's something we have to do. If they're not fulfilling their obligations, then they can not be certified, or the commission could also withdraw the former designation.
Thank you for that legal opinion. I just wanted a yes or a no, but thanks.
I wanted to throw a few acronyms out. It is Christmas.
So we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion or objection? Hearing none, it's passed. Next.
So Exhibit 12 is docket number S36156, Dow Chemical Company's notice filing requesting that the Commission approve its request to decrease Olin's leasehold interest to an amount equivalent to approximately 285 megawatts due to Olin shutting down a portion of its chlor-alkali capacity at its Plaquemine facility. It's a discussion and possible vote on Dow Chemical Company's request, and this was Exhibit 18 last month. On October 21st, 2024, Dow filed a petition for jurisdictional determination seeking an order from the Commission declaring that the ownership, lease, management, operation, and maintenance, power, and steam transfers in any and all interest in and/or related to the 3 existing electric generation facilities and related infrastructure owned and operated by Dow and located within its Plaquemine, Louisiana manufacturing complex will not render the facilities or any of the involved parties, either individually or collectively, a public utility or an electric public utility, as those terms are used and defined in Section 21 of Article 4 of Louisiana's Constitution of 1974, or Louisiana Revised Statutes 45-121, 1161, or 1164, or otherwise subject the facilities or the parties of interest to regulation as a public utility or electric public utility by the Commission. After consideration, the Commission granted the requested declaration and issued Order Number S33436 dated April 8, 2015. Order Number S33436 was based in part upon Olin's lease of 288 megawatts of capacity in Dow's facility and states that Dow shall provide the Commission with notice of any material change in the facts and circumstances set forth herein, which shall be subject to the Commission's review and approval with notice and opportunity and comment to be given to the parties in the proceeding. On July 26, 2016, Dow submitted a notice filing seeking a minor amendment to Order S33436, increasing Olin's leasehold interest from 288 megawatts to approximately 335 megawatts. In Order Number S34196, the Commission found that the changes referenced in the notice filing do not impact the Commission's prior determinations, and thus the Commission reaffirmed its findings in Order Number S33436, subject to terms and conditions contained therein. On September 28, 2021, Dow submitted a second notice filing seeking another minor amendment to Order S33436, decreasing Olin's leasehold interest to approximately 285 megawatts due to Olin shutting down a portion of its chlor-alkali capacity at its Plaquemine facility. The notice filing was published in the Commission's official bulletin with no interventions filed. Staff has reviewed the notice filing as well as Orders S33436 and S34196 and has found that the changes referenced in the notice filing do not impact the Commission's prior determinations. S33436 states that Olin may have an option to increase or decrease its leasehold interest subject to certain conditions should its power requirements increase or decrease. Staff has determined that Dow's filing in the current docket is evidence of its compliance with the terms of Order S33436 by specifically providing the Commission notice of a potential material change and providing the opportunity for intervention and review. Staff recommends that the Commission, 1, find that the changes referenced in the notice filing do not impact the Commission's prior determinations in Orders S33436 and 34196, and thus reaffirm its findings therein, subject to the terms and conditions contained in those orders. 2, find the Dow Chemical Company's filing in the current docket is evidence of its compliance with the terms of Order S33436, as the company specifically provided the Commission notice of a potential material change and provided the opportunity for intervention and review. 3, find that the orders S33436 and S34196 are amended to decrease Olin Corporation and Blue Cube Operations leasehold interest of capacity in the Dow Chemical Company's facility from approximately 336 megawatts to approximately 285 megawatts. And 4, find that nothing in the change in circumstances alters the Commission's findings in orders S33436 and S34196, that the ownership, lease, management, operation, maintenance, power transfers, steam transfers, and any and all interests as described in the petition in and related to the facilities will not render Dow Chemical Company, Olin Corporation, or Blue Cube Operations, either individually or collectively, a public utility or an electric public utility, as those terms are defined in Section 21 of the Constitution or the Louisiana statutes, or otherwise subject the facilities or any of the parties in interest to regulation as a public utility or electric public utility by the Commission. 5, affirm that no changes are being made to ordering clauses 1 through 14 of Order S33436, other than to reflect the changes referenced in the notice filing. All obligations and conditions listed therein remain in effect. And 6, issue an order that it will be effective immediately.
Move to accept staff recommendation.
Motion by Commissioner Scametta to accept staff recommendation, second by Commissioner Francis. Any discussion or objection? Hearing none, it's passed. Next.
Exhibit number 13 is docket number U35429. It's a notice of audit of energy efficiency rate rider for Entergy Louisiana for the Energy Efficiency Quick Start Program for the years ending December 31st, 2017 and December 31st, 2018. It's a discussion and possible vote on a joint report and draft order. On August 4th, 2020, staff filed staff's audit report pursuant to the Commission's General Order dated September 20th of 2013, as recently amended by General Order dated January 11th, 2019, in docket number R31106, and was published in the Commission's official bulletin with timely intervention received from LUG. In conducting the audit, staff determined that Entergy exceeded the total resource cost requirement throughout the audit period, indicating that benefits exceeded the cost. Staff also compared Entergy's projected budgeted costs to the level of costs actually incurred, with costs incurred in both plan years being slightly under the projected budget. For Plan Year 3, staff determined that Entergy incurred a higher level of actual loss contribution to fixed costs than was originally budgeted, which equates to a higher level of verified energy savings than what was projected prior to the start of Plan Year 3. Plan Year 4 shows a lower level of LCFC for both Entergy companies than was originally budgeted, and the short plan year and Plan Year 4 for the Entergy companies' programs resulted in implementation costs and energy savings that were both substantially lower than originally budgeted. In addition to these findings, staff reviewed the work papers associated with the EE rider rate calculations as well as the general ledger data. Staff determined that there were problems with the true-up amounts that were included in the rate setting process. In each of those years, legacy ELL and EGSL reflected only its most current year revenues and expenses, which included energy efficiency rider revenues, implementation costs, and LCFC. However, it failed to include cumulative over and under amounts from the prior years. Overall, this had the effect of understating the overcollections of both Entergy companies as well as the carrying charges applicable to them. Staff recognized that the annual true-up amounts balances prior to the start of Plan Year 3 and at the end of Plan Year 3 and Plan Year 4 also did not include the reflection of cumulative over-collected revenues in those years, which was subsequently confirmed by Entergy. The Plan Year 3 and Plan Year 4 true-up amounts reporting errors were properly corrected in Plan Year 5 true-up reconciliation, which was filed on April 5th of 2020. Customer receives the benefits of these prior year over-collections during Plan Year 6. Based on these findings, staff's recommendation was filed August 4th, 2020, and recommended that the Commission find that the costs collected through Plan Year 4 ending December 21st, 2018 were reasonable. After review of staff's report, Entergy indicated it did not have any objections to staff's findings, and furthermore, LUG filed Louisiana Energy Users Group's issue statement and reservation of rights on July 23rd, 2021, indicating no opposition to staff's audit report. However, LUG did indicate that it reserved all rights to address the same issues in development of Phase 2 energy efficiency rules and audit of Phase 2 energy efficiency programs. And as there are no unresolved issues, staff and Entergy respectfully request that the Commission issue an order accepting the joint report filed into the record on December 1st, 2021. So staff recommends that the Commission adopt the proposed draft order filed into the record as an exhibit to the joint report on December 1st, 2021.
Move to accept staff recommendation.
Second.
Motion to accept by Commissioner Scametta, second by Commissioner Francis. Any discussion or objection? Hearing none, the matter is passed. Next.
Exhibit 14 is docket number U35507. It's Louisiana Public Service Commission's audit of federal environmental adjustment clause filings of Entergy Louisiana for the period of January 2018 through December of 2019. It's a discussion and possible vote on an uncontested joint report and draft order. The Commission initiated the fourth federal environmental adjustment clause audit of Entergy through a notice of audit filed on March 3rd of 2020. After completion of the audit, staff filed its staff audit report on July 8, 2021, and published notice in the Commission's official bulletin with LUG as the sole intervener. The audit report found that the costs passed through the FEAC during the audit period were prudent, eligible for recovery, produced just and reasonable rates, and were necessary for the provision of service to Louisiana customers. No party opposed the filing. On November 24, 2021, Entergy and staff filed the joint report and draft order on staff's audit report, advising that there are no unresolved issues in the matter and requesting that the Commission issue a draft order accepting the joint report and adopting staff's audit report filed July 8, 2021. LUG executed the joint report as non-opposed. Staff recommends that the Commission adopt the draft order, which accepts the joint report filed on November 24, 2021 by Entergy and staff with LUG's non-opposition, accepting staff's audit report filed on July 8, 2021, finding the costs passed through the FEAC for the audit period were prudent.
Motion.
Motion to accept by Commissioner Francis, second by the Chair. Any discussion or objection? Hearing none, the matter is passed. Next.
Exhibit number 15 is docket number U36002, Utility Inc. of Louisiana's Formula Rate Plan Annual Report for the test year ending on December 31st, 2020. As a discussion and possible vote on an uncontested joint report and draft order. On May 25th, 2021, UIL filed its annual report for its 2020 test year formula rate plan pursuant to the provisions of Commission's Order Number U34742, which approved a merger of Community Utilities of Louisiana into UIL and approved the implementation of a formula rate plan for test years ending December 31st, 2018, 2019, and 2020. The 2020 FRP filing was published in the Commission's official bulletin with no intervention. Pursuant to UIL's FRP, if the adjusted test year earnings fell below the lower bandwidth, revenue is to be increased in order to reset rates to the midpoint. Since the ROEs for water and wastewater were below the lower bandwidth, UIL's as-filed results reflected the need for an increase in base rider FRP revenues of $821,208 to water and $1,340,375 to wastewater. Staff thoroughly evaluated the 2020 FRP filing and filed its amended report and recommendation on September 8, 2021, disagreeing with certain as-filed results in UIL's annual report and recommending disallowances and adjustments, which reduced UIL's as-filed increase for water to $499,496 and wastewater to $898,594 for a total adjustment of $763,193. On September 30 of 2021, UIL filed correspondence into the record of this proceeding indicating its general agreement with the amended staff report and recommendation, but listing 3 outstanding issues. Subsequently, UIL and staff were able to reach a resolution of those issues and documented the resolution in the joint report and draft order, which was filed on November 24 of 2021. The joint report advises that there are no unresolved issues in this matter and requests that the Commission issue the draft order authorizing an increase of $548,237 in water rider FRP revenues and an increase of $999,979 in wastewater rider FRP revenues pursuant to UIL's FRP authorized in order number U34742. Therefore, staff recommends that the Commission adopt the draft order, which accepts the joint report filed on November 24th by 2021 by UIL and staff, resolving all issues in this matter, and authorizes the increases pursuant to the terms of UIL's FRP approved in order number U34742.
Motion to accept by the chair.
Is there a second?
Is there a second?
I think we're missing a few.
Second by Commissioner Campbell. Any discussion or objection? Hearing none, the matter is passed. Next.
Exhibit 16 is docket number U36174. This is Southwestern Electric Power Company's application for recovery of certain storm damage costs incurred as a result of Hurricane Laura and Delta and the February 2021 winter storm event. It's a discussion and possible vote to hire outside counsel. On October 18, 2021, SWEPCO filed an application with the Commission requesting recovery of certain storm damage costs associated with Hurricanes Laura and Delta and the 2021 winter storm event into 2 phases. Staff determined the need to hire outside counsel to assist in the upcoming docket and issued RFP 2130 seeking assistance, and 2 qualifying bids were received. First was from Stone Pigment for $220,000 in fees and $9,000 in expenses for a total budget not to exceed of $229,000. And the second was from Patrick Miller of $228,985 in fees and $4,895 in expenses for a total budget not to exceed of $233,880. And staff makes no recommendation as both bidders are qualified.
I make a motion to hire Stone Pigment.
Commissioner Campbell makes a motion to hire Stone Pigman. Commissioner Scamato seconds. Any discussion or objection? I do have one question. What's the difference between 16 and 17?
So 16 was for outside counsel, 17 is for a consultant.
Okay. So there's a motion and a second. Any discussion or objection? Hearing none, it's passed. Next.
So Exhibit 17 is the same docket U36174. It's SWEPCO's application for recovery of certain storm damage costs incurred as a result of Hurricane Laura and Delta in the February 2021 winter storm event. And this is a discussion and possible vote to hire an outside consultant. We received 1 qualifying bid from an RFP that was issued, and that was from United Professionals Company of $135,000 in fees and $2,000 in expenses for a total budget not to exceed of $137,000. And staff makes no recommendation as both bidders are as the sole bidder is qualified.
Move to accept the sole bid of United Professionals.
Second by the chair. We have a comment by Commissioner Campbell.
Brandon, this is what we talked about. I looked at, we got eight people awarding contracts, 11 today. I think 8 of them have a single bid. Anybody care about that? I mean, hey, you just got one guy bidding. What does that tell you? I don't know. What it tells me is that maybe people think wouldn't do any good to bid. 8 out of 11 today, they got one person bidding. I don't know, are y'all contacting these people and tell them you've got work to do and they just don't bid on it?
That's correct. We issue RFPs, it goes to an entire list, and these are the ones who will respond.
You know, it reminds me, I'm calling on people to sell insurance to. Sometimes you call on a client to sell insurance to, they got their mind made up, and you can present them. I know I had a big account, and I had a good company, and I was a cheap guy, the best price, but I couldn't move them. You think there's anybody thinking that we got a little home cooking going on down here?
No one has indicated that to me, Commissioner. I think it's probably about 30 on our qualified consultant list.
I think they do. I think there's a lot of firms getting all the business, and I'm not knocking the firms. I'm not saying they do wonderful work. But there's got to be some people that can do this work too, and it just troubles me that when you put out a bid, you get one bid. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just me. I don't know. I'd like to see two. It seems like when I used to get here, there'd be 3 or 4 people bidding. Now we just have them, one person bids. What if somebody else bid, they could bid it cheaper? I know y'all gonna sit out there like y'all eating cheese and you can't say nothing. If you shake your head like this or shake your head like that, but you know it's the damn truth. I think that we got home cooking going on at the Public Service Commission. I said it, okay? So I vote for the guy that put the bid in, okay?
Commissioner Francis?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We failed to recognize one that traveled a good ways, a representative of MISO from Little Rock, Darrell Brown's here. Just want to recognize Darrell. Say welcome back to Louisiana, man.
Thanks for coming, Darrell. Commissioner Bossier?
Yeah. Hello, Mr. Brown. Thank you for coming down. Appreciate it. I had a question to follow up with Foster Campbell. What are people saying? You said they haven't said that to you, but why do you think, or if you don't mind speculating on why we get so few bidders nowadays?
I know some of the ones that have bid in the past have started to retire. I mean,
Correct.
Exeter and Associates had several consultants that used to do a lot of work for us, and a lot of those have retired. We actually have gotten some new consultants on our qualified consultant list this last year, which is promising. Mr. Torpy has bid on a couple of things today. He's a new qualified consultant. The one coming up is a new qualified consultant. So why folks? I mean, it's a industry that's very specialized, technical. That could be part of the reason why we don't have more qualified consultants who are interested in bidding for us.
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brandon.
Sure, and to follow up on that, what I've seen is it kind of depends on the type of docket it is. The out-of-state consultants are more familiar with the traditional rate making or audit type functions. So in those dockets, like we had 2 earlier today, we had multiple bids on those. But when we get in these more specialized, those are the ones we're typically seeing fewer. And why that is, I think Catherine makes a good point. There were, back when I started, there were about 3 firms that did the work, and one of those firms doesn't do PSC work anymore because of retirements, and one of them had multiple people retire, and they still bid occasionally. But I know some consultants we've used on a regular basis where we've done bid solicitations have said, look, I have too much work to do right now. And I don't know if that's just PSC here, but in other states. But I know one consultant, I'm not going to say who, has told me that before, that there's just too much to do, and that consultant's kind of starting to phase out and retire as well. Yeah, so hopefully with these new ones we've got in, we've hired London on a couple. Mr. Torpy, I think, as Catherine said, is new. We did hire a new consultant on the big securitization earlier this year, who was new to us and was first time. So that was Estrada. I'm not going to try to pronounce the rest of the name. So we periodically update that list as well. And it used to be that you had to send out letters. Now it's all electronic. But if we get kickbacks, we remove those from the list. So we could scrub the list always. We can reach out to NARUC and get new consultants, but the word gets out, why on certain ones we get the bids and others we don't.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm concerned as well. I think that, like Foster said, we used to have a lot of people, and I understand you explained that with retirement and other things, but, and again, this is no criticism of the work that we're getting. Most of the companies we're familiar with hiring, the consultants and the law firms, I think we get good work. They have a reputation with us. I think they're all accessible. So I'm not complaining, but it would be interesting to see more bidders, see what that might do to the pricing, see what that might do to maybe enhance the work product, but just to make sure we're doing everything right, because ultimately we're here to serve the public, and the consultants and attorneys are here to work for everyone, and it's good to get people interested. But I just wanted to follow up on what Foster said, and if you don't mind, I'm probably going to follow up with you between now and next B&E, and just examine the process, just kind of grasp it and not spend a whole lot of time on it right here, right now, but just to see what's going on, see if we can find ways to expand it or bring them in, just to give us, some diversity and some mixing of companies.
Mr. Campbell?
Listen, I don't know what's going on. I'm just like Lambert. I know when I used to come here, we'd have 4 or 5 people bidding on jobs. Now we have 1. That doesn't look good. And I'm not saying it's your fault. You can't make them bid. But we used to have this guy named Simmons and so-and-so from Lafayette, was a firm. They used to bid all the time. They don't bid anymore. I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but this doesn't look good from a perspective when you put out bids and you got 1 bidder. And people will quit bidding if they don't think they're going to get any work. They're not going to work these bids up if they don't think they have a fair chance here. I'm not saying all that, but just think about it a little bit. When you get 1 bid, how you know that guy's giving you a good bid? He could be 50% higher. I know what we did now, and that's not to offend anybody. We accepted all the, what's the name of the company? Brilliant Efficiencies. We accepted everything they sent up there. To Mr. Hobbs, got to checking, and sometimes they were 50% higher than they should have been using the same product, simply because we bid it. And we heard, no, they're using the same bulbs, they're doing this, they're doing that, they're doing this, there's something wrong. But when we checked up, because a nice young lady at Energy said they were too high, a secretary down there said it was too high, we got to looking at it, and it was too high. This is, like Lambert said, this is the people's money, and I know y'all all know that, and I'm not saying you're crooks, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it don't look good when we get 1 bid. That's all I'm saying. So y'all try to get this out to as many people as you can, and let's see if we can get some more participation. I think that's healthy. That's all.
So we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion or objection? Hearing none, it's passed. Next.
Exhibit 18 is docket number X36093, is the Commission's proceeding to review the current status and future plans for traditional telephone services. It's a discussion and possible vote to hire an outside consultant. At the June 16, 2021 B&E, the Commission directed staff to open a docket to determine the current status of all traditional telephone services within the state and determine future plans the carriers have in terms of continued availability, customer service, pricing, and transition to newer technology over time. As a result of this directive, staff initiated docket X36093. Following Hurricane Ida, the Commission directed staff to expand the scope of this docket to include an investigation and review of outage reporting, customer complaint handling, and repair appointments, among other things. Based on this expansion of scope, staff determined the need to hire an outside consultant to assist in the docket and issue RFP 2131 seeking assistance. We received 1 qualifying bid. This is a new consultant for us. It is Richard Carson and Associates for $47,250 in fees and $1,650 in expenses for a total budget not to exceed of $48,900, and staff makes no recommendation as the sole bidder is qualified.
Move to accept staff recommendation.
Motion by Commissioner Scametta, second by Commissioner Francis. I would say that was quick. Good job. Any discussion or objection? Hearing none, Exhibit 18 is passed. Next.
Exhibit 19 is a docket to be determined. It's Southwestern Electric Power Company's request to initiate its integrated resource planning process pursuant to General Order docket number R30021 dated April 20th of 2012 is a discussion and possible vote to hire an outside consultant, and this was Exhibit 13 last month. Pursuant to the Commission's general order, SWEPCO should file correspondence requesting to issue its 2021 IRP process in the next few weeks. In anticipation of the filing, staff issued RFP 2127 seeking a consultant to assist in SWEPCO's upcoming IRP, and we received one qualifying bid from London Economics for $69,910 in fees and $3,882 in expenses for a total budget not to exceed of $73,792. Staff makes no recommendation as the sole bidder is qualified.
Chair motion to accept.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Scametta. Any discussion or objection? Hearing none, it's passed. Next. We're going to skip defer 20.
20 is deferred. We have already handled Exhibit 21. So we are now moving to Exhibit 22, which is docket number U35936. This is Southwestern Electric Power Company's application for certification of the Trinity Solar Project and related advanced metering project. Metering pilot. It's a discussion and possible vote pursuant to Rule 57 on the uncontested stipulated settlement, and is at the request of Commissioner Campbell. On March 18, 2021, SWEPCO filed an application requesting certification of the Trinity Solar Pilot Project pursuant to the Commission's general order dated September 20, 1983, as in the public interest and for an exemption from the general order dated September 22, 2009, which was the Commission's AMS general order for approximately 82 advanced meters in connection with the solar project. Notice of SWEPCO's application was published in the Commission's official bulletin, and the Alliance for Affordable Energy intervened. In its application, the company seeks certification of a Louisiana solar generating resource pursuant to the requirements of the Commission's September 20, 1983 general order. The proposed Trinity Bluff solar project would include approximately 750 kilowatts of solar generation in Caddo Parish, which is adjacent to the planned Trinity Bluff subdivision. The project would also include on-site battery storage of two 320 kilowatt batteries, and SWEPCO also requests to pilot the use of a total of 82 AMI meters with the Trinity project with an estimated cost of approximately $11,000. Staff reviewed and analyzed SWEPCO's application and responses to the data request, and after review, staff filed its direct testimony on September 9, 2021, wherein staff indicated that the Trinity project, as it was presented, should not be certified. However, staff noted that to the extent that the Trinity project was being proposed as a pilot program to provide information on how microgrids may be developed, operated, and cost allocated in the future, and if the cost of the project were appropriately allocated, the project could meet the requirements for certification. After filing staff's direct testimony, the parties continued discussions regarding the application and the issues raised by staff. And based on these discussions, the party agreed to an uncontested proposed stipulated settlement, which was filed into the record on December 13, 2021. The major terms of the stipulated settlement are that the pilot project is certified as fully complying with the requirements of the Commission's general order dated September 20, 1983, and serves the public need and in the public interest. The parties agree that the inclusion of the advanced meters in the pilot program would enhance the information in the pilot project and could produce and therefore recommend that the Commission exercise its authority to grant SWEPCO an exemption from the Commission's AMI general order dated September 22, 2009. For the first 5 years of operation, SWEPCO shall submit to the Commission an annual report. SWEPCO shall also produce information in its next two Louisiana Integrated Resource Planning dockets with the Commission, and shall include a section on microgrids and discuss how the results of the pilot project efforts have resulted in operational recommendations. And the costs and the energy benefits of the pilot project are considered to be Louisiana jurisdictional, and such costs and energy benefits shall be directly assigned to Louisiana jurisdiction. SWEPCO shall be permitted to recover the cost of the pilot project through Louisiana's retail rates, and SWEPCO shall direct assign all of the energy production to Louisiana, reflecting those benefits in the fuel adjustment clause, subject to Commission review. The projected benefits to Louisiana customers shall also include any applicable reduction in energy-related ancillary services and avoid distribution line losses. Staff recommends that 1, the Commission exercise its original primary jurisdiction pursuant to Rule 57 to take this matter up, and 2, accept the uncontested proposed stipulated settlement filed into the record on December 13, 2021.
Chair motion to take the matter up under Rule 57, second by Commissioner Scametta. Any discussion or objection?
No, this is a project in Shreveport that we're real proud of. It's a small community, houses, a subdivision, I could guess. They're using solar power. Everything's green in this particular subdivision, and it's something to see. And the houses are very economically priced. I mean, like, I think from 150 to 250 people can buy them. We're proud of it, and it's one of a kind, so this is good news for our area.
So thanks for that. We have a motion and a second to take it under 57. Is there any discussion or objection? Hearing none, the matter is taken up under Rule 57. Chair motion to accept.
Application for
Certification.
certification.
Yeah. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Bossier. Any discussion or objection? Hearing none, the item is passed. Next.
Exhibit number 23 is docket number U36151. This is CenterPoint Energy Resources doing business as CenterPoint Energy ARCLA's report of earnings and return on equity for the Louisiana division for the 12 months ending June 30th, 2021. It's a discussion and possible vote on an uncontested joint report and draft order, and this is at the request of Commissioner Francis. On September 17, 2021, ARCLA filed a report of earnings and return on equity for the Louisiana division for its 12 months ending June 30th of 2021. The 2021 RSP filing was published in the Commission's official bulletin with no intervention. In ARCLA's 2021 RSP filing, the company reported the as-filed results reflected the need for a rate decrease of $549,476, inclusive of offsets related to ARCLA's over-refund of TCJA refunds. Staff conducted a review to determine if the information contained in the company's filing was accurate and a true representation of the company's operation for the test year ending June 30th, 2021. Staff's report and recommendation was filed into the record on November 16th and included certain disallowances which resulted in a prospective reduction in revenue of approximately $874,032 adjusted for taxes, which is $324,556 more in revenue reductions than ARCLA's as-filed proposed revenue reduction. After review of staff's report and recommendation on November 30th, ARCLA filed correspondence into the record indicating no opposition to staff's report and recommendation, according to the terms of its non-opposition filing. ARCLA and staff then filed a joint report and draft order noting the resolution of the proceeding, and therefore, as there are no unresolved issues, ARCLA and staff request that the Commission adopt the proposed draft order accepting the joint report. Staff recommends that the Commission issue an order accepting this joint report, finding that CenterPoint Energy ARCLA exceeded the prescribed return on equity bandwidth and requiring CenterPoint Energy ARCLA to prospectively reduce rates to generate a net decrease in revenue of approximately $874,032, inclusive of TCJA additions and adjusted for taxes, effective for bills rendered on or after December 16, 2021.
Chair motion to accept, or Commissioner Campbell, would you like to motion?
Second.
Commissioner, Chair's motion is Commissioner Campbell seconds. Any discussion or objection? Hearing none, Exhibit 23 is passed. Next.
Exhibit number 24 is docket U36152. This is CenterPoint Energy Resources doing business as CenterPoint Energy Intex for their report of earnings and return on equity for the Louisiana division for the 12 months ending June 30th, 2021. It's a discussion and possible vote on an uncontested joint report and draft order, and this is at the request of Commissioner Francis. On September 17, 2021, Intex filed a report of earnings and return on equity for the Louisiana division for 12 months ending June 30, 2021, and in this RSP, the RSP filing was published in the Commission's official bulletin with no intervention. In Intex 2021 RSP filing, the company reported the as-filed results reflected the need for a rate increase of $7,666,639, inclusive of amounts related to Intex over-refund of TCJA refunds. Staff conducted a review to determine if the information contained in the company's filing was accurate and a true representation of the company's operation. Staff's report and recommendation was filed into the record on November 16th and included certain disallowances which resulted in a prospective increase in revenue of approximately $7,491,561, which was adjusted for taxes, which is $175,078 less than Intex's as-filed proposed revenue increase. After review of staff's report and recommendation on November 30th, Intex filed correspondence into the record indicating no opposition to staff's report and recommendation according to the terms of its non-opposition filing. Intex and staff filed a joint report and draft order noting the resolution of the proceeding, and therefore, as there are no unresolved issues, the parties request that the Commission adopt the proposed draft order accepting the joint report. Therefore, staff recommends that the Commission issue an order accepting the joint report, finding that CenterPoint Energy Intex failed to meet the prescribed return on equity bandwidth and authorizing CenterPoint Energy Intex to prospectively increase rates to generate an increase in revenue of approximately $7,491,561, inclusive of TCJA additions and adjusted for taxes, effective for bills rendered on or after December 16th, 2021.
Motion to
Motion by Commissioner Francis to accept, second by Commissioner Scametta. Any discussion or objection? Do you have some? Okay, Commissioner Campbell?
You see where some of these return on investments, 15%? I know they're returning some money, but just think about that, 15%. Prime interest rate's 3%.
Pretty good spread.
Y'all doing pretty good, you know? Jesus, 15% rate of return. If a guy lucky to have a little money, go down to this bank right here. I checked all the banks. The ones that got the best rate is Whitney, something like that, whatever it's called. 0.2%, 0.2. You guys are making 15%. You have a little reduction. Well, that's pretty self-explanatory. I don't need to say any more about it. How much is the energy? What's y'all's rate of return? Philip?
Right. Yeah.
What's your rate of return?
9.8%, and over the past 12 months, the earned return.
Philip, will you please, thank you. Go to the mic and introduce yourself, please.
What's your rate of return?
This is Philip May with Entergy Louisiana. Our allowed rate of return is 9.8%. Over the past trailing 12 months, our earned rate of return reported was 7.6%.
Bobby, what's SWEPCO's rate of return?
We got to finish.
Bobby, please get up to the mic. Thank you.
Come on down. And Clico, where are you?
John, you might as well come up.
Good morning, Bobby Gillum. The authorized is 9.8, but our actual is considerably below that. I'd have to check on the latest. It was around 7.
Bobby, you mean to tell me you're only authorized to make 8%?
No, the authorized is 9.8.
Oh, okay. I thought you said something about 8. Man, I can't hear you.
Yeah, 9.8 is the authorized, but that's not what we've been earning.
You're authorized to make how much?
9.8, but the actual is somewhere around 7. And that goes up a little and down a little, so I'd have to check.
What do you make?
CLECO is authorized to make
You make 4%?
9.5.
That's what you make?
That's what we are authorized to make, 9.5.
Are you making that?
No, sir.
What do you make? 2?
Yeah, I think that's probably about right.
Yeah. Boy, y'all can pull mouth all y'all want to. You got the bull by the horns, man. All this money, and y'all build these plants, and you just lay them on in there, 9% return on investment, and y'all stock ain't doing too good. That's the trouble. You know your stock, energy stock, and CLECO stock, and SWEPCO stock. Y'all ain't doing that good. Y'all making a pile of money, but you know. But anyway, that's all.
Commissioner Francis?
Wait a minute. Time out. Wait a minute.
And did you back up?
Can I make one correction? Our allowed return is 9.5%.
Sure.
What'd you say?
I'm sorry. Philip,
Make a
use the
correction.
mic.
9.5. Just quick correction. The latest allowed return is 9.5, not 9.8.
9.5?
Yes, sir.
But you only make.
Last 12 months was 7.6.
You know what I don't understand, Philip? When you hear all these things that you tell me that, but you hear all the stuff in the deal, I've heard you quote it before. Energy made so many billion last year, you know? You made so many billion, but you're only making 7.6% on your money. How do you make so much billions? Y'all are making billions, and you're only making something not right.
A tremendous amount of capital.
Let me ask you something. If you got it up to about 9, would you make $2 billion instead of $1 billion, or what are you making now?
Generally, our earnings are for Entergy Louisiana are in the $750 million a year range.
You made $750 million last year in Louisiana?
I think that was the adjusted rate of return was about 750.
You have any idea what you made in Louisiana, Bobby?
I'm sure about half that probably, and real roughly speaking. But that's you're just talking about gross. We're trying to recover investments that we made. So
That's fine. I just wondered. I'm just seeking information, that's all.
Commissioner France.
You three represent the three large companies in Louisiana that sell electricity. Is your electricity reliable? Would you say it's reliable? I would say yes.
It's a real source of pride for us, Commissioner.
The people I represent would say it's reliable.
Yes, sir.
What we've been through with storms and all. Yes, sir. How would your kilowatt per hour costs, how would it rate according to other states in America? Where do you think Louisiana stacks up in a cost of electricity that y'all are selling? Is it in the top 5?
No, sir.
no, sir.
It's more in the bottom,
What?
more toward the bottom of those.
Our cost of electricity
Yes, sir.
is toward the bottom.
Agreed.
Yeah. And
Bottom of the lowest cost.
bottom of the lowest, yes, sir.
Okay, okay, good. All right. Okay, that's all my voters wanted to know. All right.
A little correction on the earnings. It'd be less than half of what was announced by Energy, but I'll check the actual number. Less of half in Louisiana, for sure.
Thanks, everyone. We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion or objection? Item 24. Hearing none, it's passed. Number 25.
Exhibit number 25 is docket number U36165. It's Southwestern Electric Power Company's application for the certification of the Kingston Area Reliability Project in accordance with the Commission's General Order dated October 10, 2013. It's a discussion and possible vote to hire an outside consultant, and this is a request of Chairman Green. SWEPCO filed an application seeking certification of a transmission project located in northern DeSoto Parish, and based on prior certification dockets for reliability projects, staff anticipated assistance from outside consultant and that the fees should not exceed $50,000. Therefore, staff solicited the Commission's qualified consultant list, and we received one qualifying bid. It was from United Professionals Company of $39,500 in fees and $500 in expenses, for a total budget not to exceed of $39,500. Staff makes no formal recommendation as the sole bidder is qualified.
Chair, motion to accept.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Scametta. Any discussion or objection? Hearing none, the matter is passed. We'll move back to Exhibit 9.
Mr. DeMint, could you come up and for this item? I know you're one of the people on the docket on the electric vehicle issue. I know Mr. McQuaig's not here, and I know you're one of the other people on the item.
9.
Is that the one? Yeah. So Commissioner McCampbell's got some questions about the bid.
Good morning, Commissioners. Rick DeMint, consultant to the Commission.
So, are y'all are bidding on the electric vehicle?
We actually, Scott and I talked about this months ago, got interested in the subject. We joined the NARUC working group, state working group on electric vehicles, put a lot of time and effort into the investigation of that, and I was asked to participate, having been in the telecommunications industry. The electric vehicle charging stations will have a telecommunications component to them for connectivity to the internet, to the 5G. People will find charging stations on their phones through apps and through the apps in the automobiles. It's not going to be like, oh, there's a Exxon charging station on the corner of the interstate. They're going to be at restaurants, parking garages, hotels. So you'll need to, there's a big telecommunications component to these devices. So that's why I participated in the docket and worked with Scott to develop the bid.
Are you aware of any conflicts that you or Scott may have?
No, I'm not. To answer your question directly, to pick up on what's been discussed in response to, I retired after 40 years in the telecommunications business and enjoyed working with the commission for the last 12, 13 years, and it's kind of like a family to me. And I said, look, there seems to be a opportunity for consultants, so I'm new to the mix and put in a bid today. I appreciate your help with that, and look forward to working with staff on that. I'm already working with staff on another docket, 5G connectivity on utility poles. So I felt like the electric charging thing was something that fit with that, and that I had expertise I could lend to that.
I got a question.
Sorry, Mr. McQuaig's not here. He's been having car problems, and I think he had to go to Shreveport to get his car.
Catherine, can you comment, are both Rick and Scott qualified consultants before the commission?
Yes, they both are. McHugh Group is a qualified consultant as a group, and Mr. DeMint is part of that, but Mr. DeMint is also, has his own firm, the Richard Carson and Associates, that we voted on today, and that group is also a qualified consultant.
So first, we have Commissioner Scametta.
I guess really this is directed to Commissioner Campbell, and I know that Commissioner Campbell has met with Mr. McQuaig and had questions for him about his interactivity with me, and has laid out issues where Commissioner Campbell has feelings that there's issues of conflict between me and Mr. McQuaig. So there's no reason for him to, enter into questions with Mr. McQuaig. Commissioner Campbell can go ahead and ask me about whatever conflict questions he has. Also, I understand that Commissioner Campbell has read a political attack ad against me during my previous campaign. I spent the last week reading political attack ads against Commissioner Campbell. So when he finishes his questions for me, I've got a stack of questions that I put together for him. So, but I'm ready for you to go ahead with whatever questions you have questioning my conflict. So you can go ahead and just present it to me, Commissioner Campbell. I'm ready to go ahead and knock it out and get it over with, so you don't have to pick on anybody out in the audience. You just pick on me.
And I'll just say, while we don't want this to devolve into political fist fighting, any issues that we want to hammer out about, I do think this docket needs to move forward. So do you have any questions?
I'll second that. What did you say?
I don't want this to devolve into a political fist fight, but if you have any questions, then we'd like to.
I got a few questions.
Yes, sir.
And if you can't answer them, Rick, I'll be glad to answer them for you.
I'll do my best.
You joined Mr. McQuaig to give him the expertise he needed for this docket. Is that correct?
We had a discussion, and he felt that I had expertise that would be helpful, yes.
Have you completed the docket?
We haven't been awarded the contract.
So you hadn't started. Well, you told me Thursday in my office that you have severed your ties with Mr. McQuaig. That's what you told me.
For all future dockets, I have decided to work those under my own company, which we. So
what my whole deal is that Mr. McQuaig's got I question whether he knows what he's doing. And when he asked you to come along, that lent a lot of credibility. But you're not there anymore. You told me you severed your ties with Mr. McQuaig.
I currently work with him on docket R35568, which is the 5G. I will work with him to complete that. And I told him I would work with him on the electric vehicle docket, should he be awarded that. And I have no issue with Mr. McQuaig. I just preferred to do my own work, and that's how I started. And that's what you and I spoke about. So
that makes my point. Yeah. My point is this. People it's another one of those one bid deal. Had 8 of them today, one bid. I personally don't think Mr. McQuaig is qualified for this docket. I don't think he's qualified because he didn't know anything about that. So he got you, but you quit. So he's on his own. So I made my case. I don't think he's qualified to do this docket. And Mr. Scametta brought it up to study this docket. Mr. McQuaig got the bid. He hired you for the expertise. And you're not there anymore.
Well, to clarify, if he's awarded this, would you be on this docket as well?
I would. Okay. I would honor my commitment that I would help with this docket.
Yeah. Well.
And that was a previous commitment. So
I object. I have a substitute motion that we deny Mr. McQuaig this contract.
Substitute motion by Commissioner Campbell to deny McQuaig the job. Is there a second?
I actually want to hear more information. Well, for the sake of the discussion, I don't mind deferring it, or I guess I have to second it for it to continue. So, but I I'd love to hear from Mr. McQuaid. And I know he was here and he was requested to be here. So, out of respect to the commission and even Mr. McQuaid himself, I'd rather not have any innuendo, but rather have him answer to put this in its proper place.
Yes, sir.
So at the very least, yeah, so that is a second. I have to second it because of the motion. But I would like to at least have heard from Mr. McQuaid himself. I know you and I have talked, Rick, you know that.
Right.
I mean,
But
I'm perfectly content to answer any question you'd present to Mr. McQuaid, because I know that ultimately the questions are related to me. So because they were, the questions you presented to him in your office on Monday were related to an attack ad that was formulated by the solar industry against me during my campaign. So I think to question Mr. McQuaid's skill set is kind of foolish, because the staff has qualified him, and he's been a practicing attorney for over 35 years. He's one of the finest trial attorneys I've ever known, and but for his physical conditions would still be aggressively being one of the best trial lawyers in the state. And this is one of the things he can do with his physical infirmities. So I think that to question his issues of his skill set or his intellectual capabilities is demonstrable of your lack of understanding of the man's skill set. I think this is more about trying to muddy him up on your quest to, keep going on the prison telephone docket. I do think that it's interesting. You didn't even know that the new sheriff is a lady, and you think it's a man, but that's sort of irrelevant. But I'm here to answer any questions you have, Commissioner, because I think that you've gone and swallowed the hook right up to the cork from that guy who wrote the article, who was a hired gun to just spread manure across a big old field that didn't stick. And I don't want you to be that way. And by the way, when you wonder why people don't bid at the commission, it's nonsense like this. We lost one of the finest consultants that we ever had, who basically was tired of putting up with garbage like this, one of the top people at LSU, and he didn't want to do it anymore because he was tired of this kind of garbage. So if you want to know why people don't bid, this is it. But I will tell you, I'm here, and I would appreciate you ask me any questions you want to ask now, or forever hold your peace, as my dad used to say. Because let's not let this go beyond this season, and let's be done with it. Because I don't hold any animus to you, and I don't get into, let's talk about Foster Campbell and his issues, because it doesn't, and it's of no issue to me. But if you want to go toe-to-toe, I'll show you that I've been practicing law for 36 years, and I'm one hell of a trial lawyer too. But let's get to the point about this. This is not about the skill set of one of the finest attorneys that I've ever known. This is about something else completely. And if you've got an issue with me, Commissioner, I would love for you to lay it on the table so we can get it out of the way now, because like you read one little article by someone who is paid to write a garbage article, I have read a dozen articles about you by people who are obviously paid to write articles about you. So if you want to go toe-to-toe, I'm ready to go right now. So
let me just intervene and reiterate that we're not going to devolve into a political fist fight. Y'all can have this conversation on your own on the side. I will ask, and I think this is at the heart of the conversation, have you ever had, Commissioner Scametta, or do you have any financial conflicts with Mr. McQuaid?
Zero.
Okay. Commissioner Campbell, do you have any?
Listen, I don't want to ask you any questions, Eric.
I would love for you to, because I don't want you to keep doing this, Commissioner, because you asked him. I'm going to go down the list. You wanted to know wait, hang on, Chairman. You wanted to know if Scott McQuaid was renting my building from me. I had to rent a space from Scott McQuaid's father when I first got elected, because our Governor Bobby Jindal and his Commissioner of Administration would not allow me to have a permanent office. And our Executive Secretary, who was our counsel at the time, and our Executive Secretary who's in the audience will tell you I had to fight Bobby Jindal for months and at one point threatened to hang a shingle out on Bourbon Street in order for them to give me the funding to have a permanent office. I had to represent a man who lived 2 blocks away from me in personal litigation, and I did it for free. I haven't had a legal fee paid to me for 20-something years because I've represented people for free. I served on the Boy Scouts of America for over 20 years for people for free. I built the Soapbox Derby for Louisiana for free. I built hunting clubs for free. I built political associations for free. Nobody got paid. And I've done this because I wanted to build out a community and to build out an association of friends. I am involved in a lot of social clubs, and I have never been paid by anybody. In fact, I have lost so much money doing this job, my wife looks at me funny every day. And I don't think she looks at me funny because it's just me. She looks at me because she wonders why I do this after 14 years. So I'm going to tell you right now, Commissioner, if you want to pick on somebody who's a consultant who scratches the earth every day, that's fine. But if you want to pick on me, let's just get it done now, because I don't pick on you. I don't pick on any of the commissioners up here, because I give you the respect you deserve. But if you're going to go and attack people because you think they're not qualified, I'm going to tell you right now, I have known Scott McQuaig for longer than I've known my wife. In fact, I've known Scott longer than he's known his wife. And I have seen this man in court, and I can tell you he is one of the finest attorneys that I have ever known. And we are lucky to have somebody represent us. He has done a fine job for us in everything he's done. And what you're trying to do is muddy a man's reputation for now and the future. Now, I hope that we're not going to get into this type of thing, because it sets the standard for exactly what you want to avoid. You want more people to bid. I want more people to bid. I want to see costs driven down. But we don't get more people to bid when you sit here and attack people after the staff qualifies them as bidders, and you as an individual who are not an attorney, who are not a consultant, who sell insurance, who breed or basically sell bull components and have a gas well in your backyard, do not have the skill set to understand what these people do. So I'm going to tell you right now, if you've got something against me, you bring it out, because I didn't object to you wanting to do a conflict rule at the commission, because we're already subject to the state rules, and the state rules should be adopted by the commission immediately. But I'm going to tell you right now, Commissioner, if you've got an issue with me, you put it on the table right now, and if you don't, then we're done.
So I'm gonna stop right there. That was about 5 minutes. I'm gonna give Commissioner Campbell about 5 minutes, and then we're gonna vote on the matter at hand. We're not gonna be a forum for y'all to go back and forth. So, but to be fair, Commissioner Campbell, 5 minutes.
First of all, I asked Mr. McQuaid to come testify. Now, Mr. McQuaid was here today, and now we've gone from Mr. McQuaid testifying to say, if I got any questions, ask Mr. Scametta. I don't want to ask Mr. Scametta any questions. I want to ask Mr. McQuaid a question. He was here, and he had to go to Shreveport. Okay. But he didn't want to come. I met with Mr. McQuaid. I was a gentleman and talked to him, and everything was nice. I don't like the way this deals. I don't like the way it smells. Now, Mr. Scametta, before we put angel wings on you, I did read a letter one time where you told Jimmy Fields if his secretary didn't quit smiling at you, you were going to put your foot down her throat. I have got that letter if you want to see it.
You mean the letter where
you get to
Commissioner Boissier had to pull her off of me when I was going to the restroom?
Hey.
You mean that one?
Was you, when you told Mr. Fields, you would put your foot down her throat. Now, don't be an angel here.
There we go.
So anyway, I want Mr. McQuaid to come.
I got that letter too, Campbell.
Listen, we're going to call a vote. We're going to call a vote on the substitute motion right now.
Roll call vote.
Roll call vote.
Let me say some words here. We can do it. We can do roll call if you want, but I have to at least answer. First of all, I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know how I got, but I second the motion because I was concerned. First of all, let me backtrack. I know Commissioner Campbell has some concerns. I know Mr. Skrmetta is defending Mr. McQuaig. My role in this is that last meeting we decided to ask Mr. McQuaig some questions. I saw him here. I'm not attacking Mr. McQuaig. I got no particular beef with Mr. McQuaig. And Eric, of course, you know I have no beef with you. That's not why I'm asking questions or I'm respecting the commission's request. Mr. McQuaig has bid on work before this commission. He should be able, as a contractor or a wannabe contractor, to come here and defend himself. I want to give him the opportunity to clear the air, not to attack Mr. McQuaig. If everything is as said, he could say that and put this behind him. That's all I'm saying. I'm not attacking. I'm not doing anything else. Just put it out there. And if not, that's fine too. And if so, that's fine. I'm not on a witch hunt. And nobody's heard me say anything of the kind. So I don't want to be part of what you're saying. I'm not part of that. I want Mr. McQuaig, and I met with Mr. McQuaig as well. I know Mr. McQuaig for years. I'd like to give him the opportunity to come here, just like Mr. Dement has come up here. And if you talk about people bidding, let's not forget, last month you went on an hour-long rampage at a bidder who had a conflict of interest. Maybe that's why people aren't bidding in.
You mean the one that I voted on today and nominated?
But let's remember what happened last month.
The
and I
staff
agree.
cleared it up.
Okay, fine, but don't say that you don't attack bidders if you don't think
It's not an
clear.
attack.
Well,
The staff.
let me wait. I don't want to be interrupted either, Eric. I'll give you a chance. Scrutinize, as a commissioner should, every bidder that comes before us. You were within your rights.
The staff.
You were within your rights. Foster's within his right, and we're all within our rights to do our jobs. That's what I'm advocating for. Nothing more, nothing less. So, I'll give it back to the chair now that I think I've cleared my name in this process and my job. I would like if Mr. McQuaig himself, as well, out of respect to this commission and this body, along with Mr. Dement if he likes, come here and clear the air. We should not vote for people with a cloud. Now, if he can clear it up, that's fine. And if he doesn't want to, maybe we'll deal with it next month. I mean, I was actually hoping we could just give him an opportunity to come back by passing it. That's what I really wanted to do, but because of the process and you all know the procedures here, a motion was made, so it had to be second to continue the discussion. So that's where we are right now, and I yield back to the chair.
So the substitute motion is to not allow him to have the job, and it's been made by Commissioner Campbell, seconded by Commissioner Bossier, objected by Commissioner Skrmetta. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
So a roll call vote on the substitute motion to disallow Mr. McQuaig. We'll start with Commissioner Francis.
I vote no for the.
Commissioner Skrmetta.
No.
Commissioner Bossier. Yes. Commissioner Campbell. Commissioner Campbell votes yes. The chair votes no. So now we're back to the original. There is a motion and a second to hire Mr. McQuaig and Mr. Dement for the electric vehicle. Is there an objection?
Object.
Objection by Commissioner Campbell. Roll call vote. Commissioner Francis.
Yes.
Commissioner Skrmetta.
Yes.
Commissioner Bossier.
No.
No. Commissioner Campbell.
No.
Chair votes yes.
Move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Francis. Merry Christmas, everyone.
That's the only reason I voted that way. I'm sorry. But what I realized. That's the only reason I voted that way. I'm sorry. But what I realized.